We can start accepting them now. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being on time and welcome to our training webinar, Practicing Circular Economy in the Hospitality Sector During COVID-19, brought to you by the Philippine Center for Environmental Protection and Sustainable Development, Inc., through the Transforming Tourism Value Chains project. A kind reminder for everyone to change their Zoom profile to reflect the name of your organization or company, followed by your full name. We will begin the program proper in just a few minutes. Thank you.
With 7,641 islands, the Philippines will never be short on fun.
Together, even small acts can make a big difference when it comes to preserving our country's treasures.
Let's
Save
our spots.
You can plan a pretty picnic, but remember to keep the park clean. Toss your trash in the right bin.
Photos with locals are cool, so make it a habit to ask for their permission first before snapping that story. Respect for our culture and for our people should always come first.
Leave nothing but footprints and take nothing but selfies, especially when it comes to shells, starfish, and sand.
Crafts and folk art are a large part of our culture. When you buy our products, you help keep our traditions alive.
Remember that whale sharks are wild animals and the water is their world. Respect their personal space. Don't touch, feed, or startle these majestic creatures.
Practice zero waste principles by the beach. Bring a reusable water bottle and skip single-use plastics.
Even the tiniest piece of plastic can end up inside a marine animal's belly. If you see litter on the beach, pick it up.
These streets were made for walking, so put on your comfiest pair of sneakers. Our heritage sites are best enjoyed on foot.
Help preserve the environment, especially for our sea turtles. Let's follow site rules. Take the parties off the beach so we can leave our nighttime nesters in peace.
All our waste ends up in the water. Break those bad bathroom habits. Reuse your hotel towels, bring your own toiletries, and say no to sachets. We can prevent coral bleaching by using reef-safe sunscreen. Also, a gentle reminder not to touch, kick, or stand on the corals.
Traveling is about exploring places,
Meeting people,
And experiencing things the right way.
When we treat our destinations with respect,
We make sure our future generations
Get to enjoy traveling too.
Let's pledge to be more mindful travelers.
Let's pledge to make our destinations more fun forever.
Let's pledge to save our spots.
All right, we hope you enjoyed those videos. So, good afternoon, everybody. I am honored to welcome you all to our training webinar, Practicing Circular Economy in the Hospitality Sector During COVID-19, brought to you by the Philippine Center for Environmental Protection and Sustainable Development, Inc., or PCEPSDI for short, and co-presented by the Philippine Department of Tourism. Thank you as well for those watching from our live stream on our Facebook pages. Allow me to introduce myself. So my name is Andy, the project assistant for the Transforming Tourism Value Chains project, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. Before anything else, let's please start with a short prayer. Okay, so now on to some reminders for the event. By now, you all should be familiar with the drill. So please change your username to reflect your organization and your full name for documentation purposes. Kindly mute yourselves for the duration of the event. And since we have a larger crowd than usual here, we will be entertaining questions from both the chat box and the comment section during our open forums. So kindly take note of your questions for the speakers and to whom you are addressing the question to. We will also have a chance to have a photo op at the end of the program. Um, and please also note that this webinar is being recorded and that participants will get to receive copies of the presentations and recording afterwards. We will also have an exciting mini raffle later on where randomly selected participants will be receiving prizes from EcoNest, Green Space, and Quanta Paper Corporation. You'll be getting to know more about them later on in our second panel. So 5 lucky winners will be getting any of the following: 500 peso gift voucher plus 4 plantable pens from EcoNest, a gift package from Quanta, or a bokashi composting kit from Green Space. If your name is called for the raffle, please let us know that you are present in the comments thread for those watching via Facebook live stream or in the chat box for those in Zoom. So absent winners will forfeit their right to the prize and will be given to the next name drawn instead. If we can have the next slide. There, those are the, sorry about that. So those are all of the house rules. Again, we'll be having an open forum later, so please direct your questions directly to the speakers. Please indicate their name, and we'll be having a mini raffle later on. I'll be reminding participants of the mechanics for the raffle at the end of towards the end of the program. So if we can share a little bit more about our project in the next slide. So this webinar is brought to you by the Transforming Tourism Value Chains project, which is a global UNEP-led project that seeks to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and increase resource efficiency in high-resource tourism sectors in developing countries and small island developing states, namely Dominican Republic, Philippines, Mauritius, and St. Lucia. So the Philippine Center for Environmental Protection and Sustainable Development, Inc., is the organization implementing the project in the Philippines, together with the Department of Tourism and other local partners. So in order to achieve the goals of the project, we've also been conducting capacity building activities and awareness seminars for our stakeholders, one of which is this webinar. So the goal of this training webinar is to support, the roadmap for low carbon and resource efficient tourism in the Philippines, particularly the components of improving solid waste management and eliminating problematic single-use plastics in the sector. Through our first panel, practicing proper waste management through circular economy during a pandemic, we want to familiarize the industry with waste management issues in the Philippines and how to address these issues through circular economy principles. So through our second panel, Sustainable Solutions in the Tourism Value Chain, we want to be able to connect our suppliers practicing circular economy to businesses in the tourism industry to provide opportunities for more sustainable options. So without further ado, we'd like to give the floor to our first speaker. So our first speaker attended the University of the Philippines and pursued an undergraduate and a master's degree in economics. A former lecturer at the UP School of Economics, she served as an economic consultant at the Housing and Urban Development Coordination Council and the Presidential Management Staff, and was Deputy Cabinet Secretary at the Office of the President in 2006. So she was appointed as Undersecretary at the Department of Agriculture from 2007 to 2018, where she was designated to handle special concerns, administration and finance, and agribusiness and marketing. She assumed office as Secretary of the Department of Tourism on May 2018. So please welcome Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat for the opening remarks.
Mr. June Alvarez, Executive Director, Philippine Center for Environmental Protection and Sustainable Development Incorporated, Ms. Lenny Fabul, Executive Director, Philippine Hotel Owners Association, our resource speakers, Attorney Dilbert Ketulio, Committee Secretary, House Committee on Ecology, Engineer William P. Cuñado, Director, Environmental Management Bureau, Ms. Nikki Sevilla, Founder and CEO of EcoNest Philippines, Ms. Rina Rapio, Founder of Green Space, Ms. Ayla Gutierrez, Research Manager, Asian Institute of Management, Dr. Andrew L. Tan, Center for Tourism, Mr. Aljon Gemperoa, Trade Marketing Manager, Quanta Paper Corporation, Ms. Jewel Nervesa, Program Officer, PCEPSDI. Good day and welcome to the webinar on practicing circular economy in the hospitality sector during COVID-19. To the hotel and MICE representatives who are attending today, thank you for participating in the campaign to phase out single-use plastics, a collaboration between the Philippine Center for Environmental Protection and Sustainable Development, the UN Environment Program, and the Department of Tourism. Over the last few years, we have gained momentum in raising awareness about the threats that single-use plastics, or SUPs, hold for our environment. Using paper or metal straws and bringing our own shopping bags and water bottles have become the norm. One of the consequences of the pandemic, however, was the proliferation of the SUPs in the form of disposable masks, gloves, PPEs, and the millions of syringes used for vaccination. Likewise, our dependence on food and package delivery during the periods of community quarantine has led to an increase in plastic waste. Because medical equipment is necessary in saving lives, it has become even more important to find other areas where we can reduce or eliminate SUPs. The hospitality sector is the perfect place to practice the circular economy. In a circular economy, unnecessary plastic items are eliminated, while the necessary ones are innovated so that they can be safely reused, recycled, or composted. These materials are kept in circulation, working in the economy, and kept out of the environment. The take, make, dispose approach of the linear economy is not only inefficient, it is destructive and unsustainable. What's more, it has visible effects on our tourism destinations, with plastic trash floating in the ocean and washing up on our own beaches. It therefore makes sense to invest in renewable materials, repurpose waste, and rethink consumables. The circular economy builds a path toward resilient recovery. At this point, we have begun to reopen our tourism destinations, which is why it is crucial that tourism enterprises get on board with the program. The market for ecotourism and environmentally conscious travel is growing. And in the post-pandemic era, travelers will put a premium on services and establishments that engage in zero waste practices. Guests don't need another tiny plastic bottle of shampoo, but they will appreciate refillable glass bottles. We are a country of abundant, natural, renewable materials, and I am thrilled whenever I see banana leaves, coconut, or bamboo products being used as packaging or wrapping. These are not expensive alternatives or new technology, but they're traditional and local materials that are readily available to us. In instances where plastic is unavoidable, let us get in the habit of reusing them after a good cleaning. The COVID-19 crisis has presented us with a rare opportunity to change the way we do things in tourism. According to the international study known as Breaking the Plastic Wave, the circular economy has the potential to generate savings of up to 200 billion US dollars per year, reduce greenhouse gases by 25%, and create 700,000 net additional jobs by 2040. On the other hand, if we fail to act, there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean by 2050. This makes the adoption of the circular economy a clear opportunity to build back a stronger industry. The Department of Tourism launched the Save Our Spots campaign in 2019, and now more than ever, this signifies hope for the future. Let us continue to work together and rebuild a sustainable and resilient tourism industry for the benefit of our people and for the planet. Please stay safe. Thank you very much, and mabuhay po kayong lahat.
Thank you very much for that heartwarming message of support, Madam Secretary. It is indeed significant to look to other areas where we can reduce problematic single-use plastics, and there are many opportunities for that in the hospitality sector. So before we get some answers, I'd like to apologize to our live stream audience. We had some technical difficulties a while ago, so I'll just be repeating the raffle mechanics for your reference. So we'll be having an exciting mini raffle later on, where randomly selected participants will be receiving prizes from EcoNest, Green Space, and Quanta Paper Corporation. You'll be getting to know more about them later in our second panel. 5 lucky winners will be getting any of the following: a 500 peso gift voucher plus 4 plantable pens from EcoNest, a gift package from Quanta, or a bokashi composting kit from Green Space. So if your name is called for the raffle, both in the Zoom or in live stream, please let us know that you are present in the comment thread or in the chat box below. So absent winners forfeit their right to the prize and will be given to the next name drawn instead. So those are the raffle mechanics for the reference of our live stream audience. So we want to be able to have an icebreaker with you guys first. Let's have a quick Mentimeter icebreaker. Kindly log on to menti.com and input the code 38832758. You can also see the code on the screen. So again, that's 38832758. Because we want to first ask you, stakeholders of the tourism industry, what has been the biggest challenge that you as an individual or your business or organization has faced because of COVID? So this can be at a personal level if you don't have a business yet or are still studying in school. But if you're working within an organization, what challenges have you faced together with your coworkers because of the pandemic? Please note that once you've inputted your answers, please do not leave menti.com yet, as we have another question coming up. So again, what is the biggest challenge that you as an individual or your business or organization has faced because of the COVID-19 pandemic? I believe you can input several answers and submit them all at once. There is no right or wrong answer, of course. You can feel free to input several answers. What is the biggest challenge that you as an organization or as an individual has faced because of COVID? So again, the code is on the top of the screen, 38832758 for your reference. Okay, financial issues, physical health issues, internet connection. Yes, I'm sure we've all had that challenge almost every day. Distance learning, no tourist travel, anxiety, I feel you, and business disruption, distance learning, government heat, money. Okay, any more answers? Also financial issues, continuity of service, downsizing. Yes, those are all understandable challenges because of the pandemic. Um, Thank you very much for taking the time to briefly share your challenges because of the COVID-19. So let's narrow it down a bit further to focus more on our topic for today's webinar by asking ourselves, what changes have you made in terms of waste segregation, reduction, or management because of the pandemic? This can be in relation to maybe your family or business expenditures on food packaging, or the number of trash bins in your place to separate your medical waste, such as personal protective equipment or face masks or gloves even. Are you guys more or less cautious of the waste that you're producing now that a lot of us are stuck at home? So again, it's the same code, the 38832758. Less use of plastics. Okay, recycle, reduce, reuse. Okay, use of reusable masks. Okay, that's a good, very good sustainable practice. I saw composting, color-coded plastic bags, less use of plastics, waste segregation. Yeah, I think we've all understood the necessity of segregation even more now that we have medical waste added to our waste composition. So it's been very interesting to see your answers. We want to be able to see these patterns or changes in behavior in our waste management practices given the pandemic. So let's see if we can tie these answers up with what our speakers have to say in relation to how the pandemic has affected our waste management and what we can do about it from the tourism industry. So our first panel will tackle just that. So giving us the first presentation of the day and our second speaker here to talk about the effects of COVID-19 on our waste management streams. She graduated with a degree in Hotel and Restaurant Administration with related coursework in food technology from UP Diliman in 1988. She worked for 7 years in the food service industry, and her interests in health and organic food led her to environment work. She joined Mother Earth Foundation and Earth Day Network Philippines in 1999 and worked in an environmental services firm before joining the Environmental Management Bureau in 2003. Our speaker attended various trainings on all areas of solid waste management, climate change, and environmental management sponsored by the Japan International Cooperation Agency, United Nations Environment Program, United Nations Development Program, and the German Corporation for International Cooperation. She also trained in Japan on construction and designing of sound material cycle society for Asian countries. So let's all welcome Ms. Raquel Reyes, Senior Environmental Management Specialist from the DENR EMB. Ms. Raquel, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Andy. May I request for you to share my presentation because sometimes my internet is unstable.
Sure po. Give us a moment lang po.
Okay, so good afternoon. I'm Raquel, as Andy said, from the EMB Solid Waste Management Division. Our division is the Secretariat of the National Solid Waste Management Commission, and we also provide technical assistance and other forms of support to our regional EMB offices and stakeholders in the regional areas. So when the pandemic started, the National Solid Waste Management Commission realized that we have to have some guidelines on the management of the waste, specifically the personal protective equipment that are generated because of the pandemic. So we experienced an increase in the disposal of these kinds of waste. So we have to manage them in the new normal. Next. Next slide, please. So the National Solid Waste Management Commission issued resolution number 1364. Can you come back to the previous slide? Yeah, okay. So this is to provide guidelines on the proper handling and management of all COVID-19 related healthcare waste related from all sources, such as households, offices, schools, churches, and other facilities deemed as safe shelters, which temporarily house frontliners, and other sources such as public markets, commercial and industrial sources, and the like, including guidelines on ensuring the occupational health and safety of waste workers. Next. So this resolution all COVID-19 related waste, such as face masks, cotton, tissue papers, and others generated from households, offices, and the like, are considered potentially infectious and contaminated. Next, proper management of this waste shall be given priority to ensure welfare and safety of the community and all personnel directly involved in the management of potentially infectious and contaminated waste related to COVID-19. Next, please. So this is our projected solid waste generation of regular solid waste. So this is not including yet the household healthcare waste that is being generated during this pandemic. So for the regular waste, we have 21,843,798 tons projected waste generation for this year. And for Metro Manila, we have 3,527,203 tons for Metro Manila. Next, please. So for the face mask waste generation, so we have approximated this number to 21.8 million households in the country, with an estimated quantity of 218,000 kilograms or 218 tons of used face masks is added. So this will be the additional waste generation for face masks only, So this does not include the other waste generated, such as face shields, coveralls, gloves, etc. So approximately 43.6 million pieces of face masks are used daily, and if not properly managed, will pose further health risks and contamination of other waste generated from all sources, such as households, offices, institutions, and establishments. Because if we mix the healthcare waste with other kinds of waste, this will all be contaminated. So we have to have the proper treatment for that. So in order that all of this waste will not be contaminated, the National Solid Waste Management Commission issued this resolution to guide our local government units. Next. So these are the contents of the guidelines. So resolution number 1364, series of 2020, emphasized that all local government units shall develop a COVID-19 waste management plan consistent with all existing and relevant guidelines and shall strictly implement the same. All LGU managed or contracted waste service providers, waste collection, transport, treatment, and disposal shall adopt the LGU's COVID-19 waste management plan and formulate and develop their occupational health and safety plan to guide and protect the waste workers. Next, please. So the resolution says that all COVID-19 related waste, including but not limited to used face masks, cotton, tissue paper, testing kits, and others such as those from the vaccination centers shall be considered as infectious and contaminated healthcare waste. Appropriate personal protective equipment or PPEs, including but not limited to coveralls, face masks, and or goggles, gloves, and closed shoes or industrial boots shall be provided and used by personnel directly engaged in the collection, transport, storage, treatment, and disposal of infectious and contaminated healthcare waste. So we also have to protect the the waste workers because they are the ones in touch or being in touch with this waste. So to prevent further spread of the COVID-19. Next, please. Infectious and contaminated healthcare waste shall be stored and collected separately from other domestic waste and shall be in accordance with the DOH Healthcare Waste Management Manual. So this manual says that yellow container or plastic bags or properly labeled container bags are the ones to be used for the healthcare waste. And then hand washing stations shall be made available in the garage and motor pool, waste treatment and disposal facilities to ensure hand hygiene practices. Next. Waste service providers shall adopt and implement a manifest system to ensure that the collected infectious waste are properly recorded, treated, and disposed. Records shall be kept by local government units for monitoring purposes. So this manifest system is a recording of the transport of the waste from the source to the treatment and to the disposal to ensure that they are not contaminating the environment and compromising the health of the people. And then the LGU shall conduct orientation on COVID-19 proper waste management to include segregation, storage of infectious waste, collection, transport, and disposal to all stakeholders. In fact, we have already conducted 3 webinars on COVID-19 waste management to other EMB regional offices and other stakeholders in the country. And we did this last March of this year. Next, a composite team that includes the city or municipal environment and natural resources officer or his designate and the city or municipal health office may be created to develop, implement, and monitor these guidelines. Next, please. So specific guidelines are provided for waste generation, storage, segregation and storage at source, collection and transport, treatment and disposal, and occupational health and safety. Next. So for the tourism sector, these are what we recommend. Of course, the first really is practice waste avoidance. If we can avoid creating waste, there will be no waste to be managed. So the use of reusable containers, avoiding the use of sachets and other single-use packaging, and using washable utensils, etc. So, and then, of course, the next is proper waste segregation of solid waste at source. If we can provide a separate bin for our infectious waste, that will be the most ideal. And that is the one that is required. So we can ensure that infectious waste are not mixed with other regular domestic waste. And of course, we have to have efficient recovery of recyclable waste for recycling and composting of biodegradable waste that we can use for our landscaping in our hotels or resorts. And then proper treatment of household hazardous waste and other COVID-19 related healthcare waste. And last is the proper disposal of residual waste or waste that are non-recyclable, non-compostable waste. Next, please. Okay, so that ends my short presentation. And I would also like to inform the body that we are developing another guidelines. This is for the clustering of material recovery facilities to cater to household hazardous waste and household healthcare waste, so that no waste PPEs will be released to the environment, so that they will have a place where they can be managed and stored before treatment and disposal. So that is under development now in the EMB, in our EMB Solid Waste Management Division. So we are estimating that probably we'll have it out by later this year, so we can further guide our stakeholders on this COVID-19 waste management. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Raquel, for sharing those statistics and factors, as well as the guidelines and resolutions of NSWMC in response to the pandemic. I'm sure our tourism businesses and households actually also appreciate those tips to avoid pollution, not just from the tourism sector, but also at their personal level. So thank you again very much, Ms. Raquel. So now that we have an idea on how not just grave but complex the issue of our waste is, let's hear from our next speaker. So our next speaker graduated from the University of the East with a Bachelor of Laws in 2001. Since then, he has been a key resource person and Philippine delegate in several international and regional conferences on biodiversity, waste, climate change, and plastics. He has also actively contributed to several of our environmental laws and regulations today, such as the Philippine Climate Change Act, the Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act, and the Environmental Education Act. Since 2009, he has been the committee secretary of the Committee on Ecology from the House of Representatives. Everyone, please welcome Attorney Dilbert Getulio, who will talk about an important policy development on single-use plastics, specifically the salient provisions of the Single-Use Plastic Product Regulation Act. Attorney, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Can I share my screen now?
Yes, go ahead, Attorney.
Oh, wait. Okay. It says share screen. All right. There we go. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can all see your screen, attorney.
All right, thank you so much. So, good afternoon to all of you, to the Secretary of the Department of Tourism, Honorable Bernadette Romulo Opuyat, Director of the Environmental Management Bureau of DNR, Engineer William Cuñado, as represented by Ms. Raquel Reyes, Executive Director of the Philippine Center for Environmental Protection and Sustainable Development Incorporated, Mr. June Alvarez, to our remarkable speakers, stakeholders represented here, our friends, ladies and gentlemen, magandang hapon po. It is truly my honor to be invited into this webinar and talk about relevant and major features of the SUP, or Single-Use Plastic Regulation Bill, now House Bill number 9147 under Committee Report 897. The bill was approved on second reading last June 2 at around 6:40 p.m. This measure is a consolidation of 37 House bills and 4 House resolutions, and was sponsored at the plenary by Representative Glona Labad-Labad, the chair of the Committee on Ecology, with the support of Representative Kiko Benitez, chair of the Technical Working Group for SUP Bill. You know, the awareness of greater majority of Filipinos on the heaping problem on SUP, or single-use plastic, seems to be spurred by the research released in September 2015. That research by the Ocean Conservancy and Mackenzie Center showed that the country disposes of 6,800 tons of plastic waste per day, of which 81% is mismanaged. It was followed up by a study released in October 2015, which states that the Philippines is the world's third biggest source of plastic leaking to the ocean. These are 2015 studies, but the apprehensions on SUPs have been introduced and kept on re-emerging in Congress for almost 2 decades now. If you widen your imaginations, for almost 2 decades, Congress has been consistently hearing the same remarks from the affected stakeholders. We hear that the throwaway mentality of people is the problem of SUPs, as they do not go to the sidewalks or waterways on their own, and that bills banning plastics are pro-poor, and so on and so forth. I'm not saying that these are not valid concerns. In fact, many of the affected stakeholders have already introduced programs to alleviate the problem. But nonetheless, problems on SUPs leaking to the environment are still incredibly upsetting, notably on account of our rapidly growing economy and, of course, of the vibrant tourism industry, among other economic factors. Well, pandemic surely caused us economic setbacks, but when things normalize, our government actions in dealing with SUPs have to be relevant and dynamic. Congress was told that the current environmental policies to address the problem are designed to really come into fruition over time. However, management on waste cannot be benched on waiting, especially so when the president himself gave an implied but a clear signal for appropriate legislative action. Indeed, the SUP problem widely beacons appropriate intervention. Hence, 118 authors and co-authors of SUP bill led by the Speaker of the House, Lord Alan Velasco, firmly agreed to introduce two-pronged approach, the upstream and downstream solutions. Upstream, the measure intends to reduce the supply of non-compostable SUPs that are regarded as highly replaceable or unnecessary, to low in recyclability on account of their design or density, and low in retrievability due to their low value for recovery, recycling, or reprocessing. Note that low value SUPs will only bleed circular economy. Hence, the following SUPs are the first set to be phased out within 4 years from the effectivity of the law. We have plates and saucers, cups, bowls and lids, cutlery, food and beverage containers made of expanded polystyrene, oxo-degradable plastics, film wraps, packaging or bags of less than 50 microns in thickness, and sachets and pouches that are multi-layered with other materials. The second set of SUPs shall be phased out within 1 year, and these are drinking straws, except for persons with special medical conditions when no other alternatives are available. And then stirrers, sticks for candy, balloon and cotton buds, buntings, confetti, and the plastic lavo or the packaging or bags of less than 10 microns in thickness. You might be surprised that there were proponents proposing immediate or 1 year phase out period, but the committee has to consider the current pandemic to give that reasonable leeway. Other upstream interventions are the explicit assent to the use of compostable plastic under Section 6 of the bill. And we have under Section 8, the charging of minimum fee of 5 pesos for every non-compostable carry-out SUP bag, and another minimum fee of 5 pesos for every SUP bag or container used for takeouts or delivery, whether it is compostable or not. As regards the fate of other SUPs not listed for phase out,
Attorney, sorry, you're on mute.
I'm sorry.
There you go po.
Na-mute ako?
Sandali lang naman po. Okay na po.
Okay, I don't know what happened, but well, I'm already on this slide, right?
Yes po.
Okay, I will continue now. No, so we have those plastic bottles, multi-layer Tetra Paks, or packaging or products, and other non-compostable single-use plastic products. Well, their fate on whether they will be banned in the future will depend on how the downstream solution will work. You may note at this point, the downstream agenda of the bill is essentially focused on the recovery of the SUPs, such that if these products are not properly recovered or offset as prescribed by Section 7 of the bill, they shall be phased out within the period of 2 years. As its downstream remedy, Section 7 of the bill provides for the role of producers and importers in the recovery of waste products. Here, they are required to establish and phase in programs that will prevent plastic waste from leaking to the environment. The bill ushered in the following activities that producers and importers recovery programs may consider. For example, recovery schemes for SUPs like redemption, buyback, offsetting, or any model and BIs or strategies that will efficiently affect high retrievability or recyclability. It also includes the transportation of recovered plastic waste to the appropriate diversion or disposal waste. It also has cleanup of plastic waste leaked to the coastal areas, public roads, and other sites. And when investment is viable, they can also venture in the establishment or operation of recycling, composting, thermal treatment, and other waste diversion or disposal facilities for plastic products. But just the same, 3 years after the effectivity of this act, it shall be mandatory for each producer or importer to recover or offset, and whenever possible, divert into value chains and value-adding useful products, at least 50% of their SUP product footprint. And the DNR comes in by gradually increasing this percentage until 100% recovery or offsetting of their SUP footprint is achieved 5 years following the effectivity of this act. The bill shall be requiring an independent third-party auditor for an obvious purpose with regard to the expenses incurred for recovery activities. The government in turn shall consider the same as tax deductible for the period of 5 years from the effectivity of this act. Interestingly, some stakeholders said that the upstream approach or the reduction of the source of waste is not needed, as the downstream proviso for recovery will suffice. Well, the committee sustained the two-pronged approach. That is logical because somehow the recovery of footprint that the bill is aiming to may not be 100% or perfectly implemented, as there would be the so-called unintended gaps in the real world of enforcement of laws. And the upstream, in combination with the downstream agenda, is a great fill-in for these inadvertent gaps. Remember, what the upstream solution intends to phase out are the SUPs that are ought to be banned anyway. You know, environmental legislation is really both intricate and controversial. Tagalog term is more descriptive on this, masalimuot. But the House Committee on Ecology or Congress endeavored to balance economic, societal, and environmental implications of this bill. It has gone through numerous TWGs or technical working group meetings, or countless even, considering that the subject had been tackled for the last 18 years. The House of Representatives is, of course, very much aware that the bill will not please everyone, but as we mentioned in other forums, it was made clear in the bill that producers or importers must not offer us SUP products that are highly unnecessary or highly replaceable or of low value, as this negate efficient circular economy. Likewise, it was made explicit in the measure that SUP producers or importers must be conscientious not only in the quality of their goods, but also with waste that entail this. Well, the committee was surprised to note that many of SUP producers have already been demonstrating impressive recovery or plastic neutrality initiatives. And many of them have been partnering with recovery entities like Plastic Credit Exchange or PCX, founded by our favorite Darna, Nanette Medved po. And before you Google Darna, allow me to state these parting words. Ladies and gentlemen, let this legislative act be one of the legacies of this present generation in collectively repudiating the ill reputation of the Philippines as the filthiest in the world, as so published by the Inquirer last May 13, Well, this is subject to verification, but nonetheless, Congress believes that the exact reverse of this image can be made, but we need the upstream and downstream agenda to realize this. Thank you very much, and congratulations to the organizers of this activity.
Thank you so much for that, attorney. Thank you for enlightening us on that environmental situation, as well as the salient provisions of this groundbreaking act. It's especially good to see extended producer responsibility integrated into this act, and we are very grateful for our policymakers' efforts in trying to achieve this balance of economic, societal, and environmental, and for pushing for the issuance of this regulation to address the plight of problematic plastics in the Philippines. So we look now to the academe and research sector to give us the basics of what circular economy really is and how it can be applied in our hospitality sector today. Our next speaker is a development consultant and the research manager at the Asian Institute of Management, Dr. Andrew L. Tan Center for Tourism. She is also a senior consultant at Warwick and Rogers and the Sustainable Tourism Specialist of the Masungi Geo Reserve Foundation, Inc. Prior to this, she served as an intern at the National Green Growth Policy and Green Local and Regional Economic Development under the Green Economic Development at the GIZ, at the Fleischmann Hillard Manila, and at the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung Philippines. She has completed her master's in development policy under the KAS Scholarship and Bachelor of Arts in International Studies, major in European Studies with a magna cum laude in De La Salle University, Philippines. Please welcome Ms. Ayla Gutierrez from AIM, Dr. Andrew L. Tan Center for Tourism. Ms. Ayla, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Andy, for that very good introduction. I'm just waiting for my slides to be shared. Okay, thank you very much. So again, good afternoon to our dear participants and guests of this afternoon's training webinar. I mean, the previous presentations provide us with an amazing background on waste during COVID-19 and the movement towards banning plastic in the country, which is actually essential in the circular economy. So again, I am Ayla Gutierrez from the Asian Institute of Management, Dr. Andrew L. Tan Center for Tourism. And for the next 20 minutes, I will be presenting this topic on circular economy and Philippine tourism. Are you in or out? Where I will be presenting to you or proposing to you an alternative perspective on how the tourism and hospitality industry can operate in the post-pandemic. And again, towards the end of this presentation, it will be up to you to decide on whether you are actually in or out in this, what we call circular economy, right? So next slide, please. To start off, I know many of us have become very much aware of the negative impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic to our lives and of course to the tourism industry because of the numerous measures and policies imposed to contain the spread of the virus, right? But as a silver lining, if I may say no, however, the sudden pause we are experiencing at the moment is actually giving us an opportunity to rethink and reimagine tourism. When I say reimagine, I mean using our creative juices and racking our brains to rethink how we would like tourism industries to operate once it's safer to do so. And of course, part and parcel of this process of reimagining is the acceptance and most importantly, the acknowledgement that, you know, something must be changed in the way we do things. And as controversial as it may seem, I do believe that there's really no going back to what we call back to normal. No, it is actually high time for us to rethink our business models and values. So this is the time where we can ask ourselves, no, how can one mitigate tourism's adverse environmental and social impacts? Or how can we ensure the tourism industry's overall resilience? Or maybe we can ask, what are the risks and opportunities amidst 21st century sustainability challenges? Or more importantly, we can ask ourselves, what kind of future do you want tourism to have? And to build back better, a new thinking, a new framing of tourism activities is actually necessary. Next slide, please. So for this session, I'd like to propose the idea that in reimagining and rethinking what Philippine tourism can look like in the post-pandemic, the concept of circular economy is to be considered a critical component. So with this, I intend to answer four things. Next, please. First is, what is circular economy? Next, what are the principles of CE or circular economy? Third, how can CE be applied in tourism and hospitality industry? Fourth, what can we do, right? So let's keep the ball rolling, right? Next slide, please. So for the first question, it's very basic. What is circular economy? Now, in order for me to define this, let's try to compare it first with the conventional linear economy. And yung pinagkaiba ng circular versus linear, right? So in general, majority of the economic activities in the country is still described with the linear model of production and consumption. That assumes a take, make, waste pattern, wherein we consume natural resources with a single life cycle, thereby generating waste. So when we say linear economy, it's linear, meaning it progresses from one stage to another in a series of steps or sequential, right? So there's no going back. It's just one step next to the other. And as shown in this image, the take, make, waste pattern suggests that we just take or extract natural resources, make something out of it, and then maybe use it once or twice, then throw it out as waste. So it's as if everything is a disposable, right? So here in this linear economy model, we assume that we have an unlimited supply of natural resources and that our environment can actually infinitely take in or absorb as much waste and pollution we produce. Where in reality, as we have experienced it, it's obviously a false assumption, right? Our environment is depleting. Hence, there is again a need to rethink how we should make our daily decisions and activities. And this is where the circular economy comes into the picture. So ano naman yung circular economy? As opposed to linear economy, CE is also known as the closing the life cycle system, wherein we reconsider waste as a new resource that can be reused in the system. So it is considered a sustainability concept, right? With the goal of increasing the value of products and resources, for example, water and energy, so that it can stay and be used in the economy as long as possible. So emphasized by the circular economy model is actually the restorative and regenerative principles of production, distribution, and consumption. And as you can imagine, it's easier said than done, but this actually implies a radical change in the current production system and consequently in the way we do things. So for example, our previous speaker talked about, banning plastic, but still a lot of people are still not happy about it, right? So it's easier said than done, but what can we do about it? Right. So to expound on this concept further, next slide, please. The principles of circular economy is guided actually by three principles. Next, please. So the first is design out waste and pollution. Yes, design. No, ano ibig sabihin ng design? Which means, next, please. This principle actually emphasizes that the idea of waste and pollution is actually a consequence of our decisions and activities. So we decide for ourselves whether something will be a waste or not. So for example, next please, we get to decide whether we choose, bringing our own reusable bags or we use plastic bags when we do shopping or grocery. Or it's as simple as bringing our own water bottles or buying plastic bottles, right? So that's simple. We design out waste and pollution. The second, keep products and materials in use. So it's basically a concept of use things, paggamit ng isang bagay versus using them up or pag-aaksaya, right? It asks the question, are we using resource or are we just wasting it? So for example, in simple daily life activities, do we need to keep the water running on our sinks while we brush our teeth? Or do we need to throw out every scratch paper we have in our offices or homes? Or can we still repair, reuse, remanufacture something? So I noticed, as a buyer of Shopee and Lazada and other online businesses, I noticed that a lot of businesses now are using scratch papers to parang provide caution for their products, which is a good thing, right? So next, please. And finally, the third principle is actually regenerate natural systems. Now, what does this mean? No, it basically highlights the idea that there is no such thing as waste. No, everything is actually a food for something else. What does it mean? No, so for example, a dead leaf that fell off a tree isn't actually a waste. No, it could actually be feeding something off the ground. So meaning walang waste talaga. No, and in the same way, no, um, plastic containers that we have right now, I don't know if everyone is aware, there are actually people who collect it, organizations who collect it and convert it to bricks of houses, right? And even our used cooking oils, no, nahihirapan tayo itapon, do we throw it sa basura or sa sink, right? There are actually people who are collecting it and recycling it to power up vehicles. So again, the main point here is there's no waste, no, just it's a mindset. We need to rethink the way we do things, no? And you may be thinking now, yes, that might be quite simple. No, it's kind of doable. Yes, parang we just need to make this conscious effort to make it happen. No, but really, how does this apply to, for example, a business level, right? So let's take one case, for example. Next slide, please. So the case of Ananas Anam. No, so ano yung ananas, diba? It's pineapple, right? So Anam is a British startup that was established in 2013. So we know for a fact that the textile industry is one of the main pollutants. No, so what Ananas Anam aimed to do was the company has set its goal to reduce the environmental impact generated by the textile industry by developing what they call Piñatex. No, Piñatex is a natural plant-based non-woven textile, which serves as an alternative to leather and other plastic products. So itong Ananas Anam, no, they actually imbibe circular economy in its foundation, meaning, no, they give economic value to waste. So anong waste yung pinag-uusapan natin sa pinya? So this company actually works with pineapple leaves, which in fact, no, which also surprised me, it's actually in the Philippines, so it amounts to 30 million tons of waste. Yung dahon ng pineapple, we just throw it out, right? So because of the success of this business, no, Ananas Anam is now expanding to partner with other pineapple producing countries such as Costa Rica and Indonesia, right? So again, it's quite simple. If you look at the diagram here, yung waste ginamit into something more reusable, right? So it's not just waste, right? Or it prolongs the value of that supposed waste, right? So as you may have observed, no, in this example, the circular model or the circular economy model is predominantly associated with product manufacturing and usually resource intensive industries, with little or less so with service dominated industries such as tourism, which for me is actually a puzzle because we all know for a fact that the tourism and hospitality sector combined is acknowledged for its huge consumption of water and energy, its huge contribution in food waste, congestion problems, and CO2 emissions, right? So it's just sensible to ask the question, how can the circular economy model be applied in the services industry, specifically in tourism and hospitality? So next slide, please. Okay, next po. Okay, so in a bird's eye view, this may look like a ton of a job, given that tourism has a complex system that is deeply interlinked with and dependent on multiple value chains in society, from agriculture, transport industries, etc., right? Making it hard to identify where the natural resources actually are extracted from and where they are processed and where they end up in, right? But despite this seemingly complex value chain, no, I guess for me, from my perspective, if we look at the core product of tourism and hospitality, it may be easier for us to incorporate the CE model. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about tracing the roots of tourism and hospitality to its core purpose. And if our audience would agree, no, it is to create experiences. And if I may argue, meaningful experiences and interactions through storytelling. Yun yung goal ng tourism and hospitality, right? We bring people to the Philippines, we welcome them in our hotels, in our restaurants, for them to gain some level of experience and to gain some level of interactions, no, meaningful interactions. Thus, no, the circular economy model can be incorporated through designing what we call sustainable experiences. So the transformational potential of tourism rests on the significance of immaterial experiences and socially engaging encounters between hosts and guests. So what do these things mean? No? So it's again, no, it's too complex. No? It's a mouthful. No? So in the next few slides, no, I will actually be sharing 4 cases, no, on how circular economy has been incorporated in tourism and hospitality industries, right? So I tried to gather several cases, although there's a lot, no, but I just, given the time constraints, I was able to prepare 4 cases, right? So next slide, please. So the first is the Greet brand by Accor Hotels, right? So Accor Hotels rings a bell, right? So it's a French multinational hospitality chain that operates also here in the Philippines. So now in the country, if you're familiar, they handle Sofitel, Zoe Nostalgia, Raffles, Novotel, etc. Right? So Accor operates and owns brands that cover many segments of hospitality. And quite recently, no, in September 2019, before pandemic, Accor launched its first environment conscious hotel brand called Greet, which has several locations now in France and Germany. Next slide, please. So Greet Hotels, if you would look at the pictures by itself, no, it's very different from the other Accor hotels that you might have visited, right? So Greet Hotels is positioned as an environment conscious brand and as a circular hospitality brand. And yes, you would see in their PR kits and their website, they are proud to say that they are a circular hospitality brand, right? So they focus on purpose-sensitive consumer segments, no? While emphasizing the value of circular hospitality, what Greet does, no, is that they focus on local engagement where local and fresh products are produced. So as you can see here sa table dito, no, they only give you like local bread made by a local baker. They give you regional jams and local wines, no? So that's simple. And as you can see in the pictures also, they use second-hand and recycled furniture and products. That's why their marketing or PR is that each and every room is actually unique of its own. Kasi nga naman, it uses recycled and second-hand used products, no? So walang level of uniformity, right? So the brand emphasizes on the value of eco design approach, right? So if you can read through this in the description in the slide, no, basically the idea is that everything is shared, no, shared table. So if you're not looking for something luxurious and you're looking for something meaningful experience, there's Greet for you. And what is emphasized also in the example of Greet is that no, you can't make circular hospitality happen with the hospitality alone, with the hotel alone, right? It has to be partnered, or it has to be coupled with strong relationships with local communities, suppliers, and local NGOs. So partnerships with other stakeholders is also necessary, right? Next slide, please. The second case that I will be showing you, actually, I enjoyed very much reading this case, no? So the second case is called Martin's Hotel. So ano yung Martin's Hotels, no? It is a family-owned collection of boutique hotels in Belgium with their principle, tomorrow needs today. So let's mull it over. Tomorrow needs today. Yung bukas ay kailangan ang ngayon, right? Am I right? So guided by this principle, no, Martin's Hotel's DNA is the preservation of historic buildings. So that's why it excited me, because if you look at just the pictures, no, you have an idea what kind of structures they actually preserve to convert them into hotels, right? Next slide, please. So Martin's Hotels is proud to operate following the circular economy model. Again, like Greet Hotels, no, itong Martin's Hotel, they are very proud and they brand themselves as circular hospitality hotels, right? So they incorporate the circular economy model through their purchasing, waste, and even during their renovation. So the hotel chains, itong Martin Hotels, follows a sustainable purchasing policy. So ano yung sustainable purchasing policy? Here, they give priority to local, natural, recycled, and seasonal products, diba? So minsan mapapasana all ka na lang, no? If companies try to, apply this actually, then it will give priority and more opportunities for our local producers and suppliers, right? Next, no, they also follow a supplier code of conduct. What does it mean, no? So this means that before engaging or before signing a contract with a supplier, no, they first take into account the environmental records of the supplier, no. So this is part of the tendering process, right? And third, most importantly, they have waste targets. So what they do here is they try to minimize the use of water and recycle as much as possible. So again, as you can see, no, this is exciting. Imagine, no, look at the pictures. Highlighted in this, no, are there efforts of converting church hotels that are no longer being used? Because naman in Europe, no, there are a lot of churches that are being closed down. So instead of like closing them and changing them all together, no, they tried to preserve it and instead converted them into hotels. Some of their facilities, their hotels are also preserving like sugar refineries as well. So imagine, no? And the bottom picture here will show you, if you can see clearly the carpets, no? It's actually reused and recycled, mix and match carpet tiles, no? So again, it's a cradle to cradle approach, meaning, no, these are all recycled. It's just, mixed and match, no? But it still looks fine and luxurious, right? So now you might be thinking, wala bang examples sa Pilipinas, no? But wait, there's actually more, no? Of course, there are a lot of examples here in the Philippines, and unfortunately, I cannot name all of them in this slide, so I will just be presenting two, right? So next slide, please. Yes, so the first one, an example here in the Philippines, I hope you've heard of it, no? It's called the Masungi Geo Reserve in Baras, Rizal. So if you talk about Masungi, they're actually a mainstay when you talk about sustainability and tourism, no? So Masungi is actually an internationally awarded, privately managed conservation area known for its sustainable conservation effort and innovative geotourism practice. So I'm sure, no, you've seen this, no? Kasi it's very famous on Instagram, and because of its strict policy of making people wait, no, before they actually accept you as a visitor in this place. So next slide, please. So what does Masungi offer? So Masungi actually offers low volume trail experiences. So again, low volume. I'm talking about here, no, as in konti lang talaga. Per batch, I think there's just 15 maximum, and they only allow 3 batches per day, if I'm not mistaken, no? And again, these trails, if you can see the picture, yung spider web, I'm sure you've pretty much seen this in a lot of Instagram photos, no? If you would look closer to it, none of these wires actually touch the limestones, no? So that's one of the good things, no? As a person who has myself, no, as a person who has been lucky to be able to visit the trails multiple times, because we bring our students in this, at least before the pandemic, no? I can personally attest to the amazing conservation work that the team behind this is doing, no? So let me just walk you through the process or the experience. So once you arrive in the site, actually before arriving the site, no, you will have to visit their website, and you would see, no, you can Google it now, no, it will tell you request a visit, no? So meaning, no, dun pa lang, the mindset is already changing. You're not paying a fee to visit this place. Instead, you are requesting, no, that idea na, uy, teka lang, I'm not paying for it, no, I'm instead requesting to be able to visit this place, no? So yun pa lang, no, and it usually takes like, I think, half a year for you to be given a slot, no, to visit the place, no? So from there, no, it kind of gives you an idea what kind this place is, no? This is not like the typical mass tourism, right? So once you arrive in the site, I would say you'll become a whole new person afterwards. No, what does it mean? No, one who is actually educated with conservation, meaning, no, when you go visit the area, no, they will, I mean, the park rangers, yung park rangers are local community people who have actually like good knowledge about the environment, and they tell you why conservation is important, what you can do, and it gives you a sense of appreciation of the local knowledge and local products that is available. So for example, they actually serve nilagang saba and fresh calamansi juice, no, to their visitors, and even local delicacies that are wrapped in banana leaf. So imagine, no, the feel of it all, no? So again, I'm not an endorser of Masugi. I'm just happy and proud to have something like this in the Philippines, no? So when it's safer to do so, let's try our best to visit this place, no? And because of the limit of our time, no, the next slide, please. Next slide, please. Our final case, I think Miss Debbie Tan, no, the owner of the Luyon Beach and Mountain Resort, is actually here with us today, no. So the final case that I will be sharing with you is that of the Luyon Beach and Mountain Resort located in Palawan, no. Again, this is another multi-awarded resort dubbed as one of the leaders in the green movement taking place in the country's hospitality sector. Next slide, please. So the Luyon actually functions primarily by using green technologies, water-saving equipment, and energy-saving measures. So its movement towards sustainability is actually guided by the principles of 3Rs by the Zero Carbon Resource Projects, no? So ano yung 3R? Yung unang R is replace inefficient appliances and equipment, reduce energy consumption, and redesign buildings into more self-sufficient and carbon-neutral structures, no? So part of their efforts is, if you can see the pictures, no, is the use of indigenous and biodegradable products. So for example, no, yung tea candles nila, they actually used cooking oil, right? So how innovative and practical that is. They also use solar panels, and guests are given incentives such as itong cookie na token. No? It's very simple, but yet no, when you give incentives to your guests to actually be environment conscious, no, it actually makes a difference, no. And simply put, no, to make all of this happen, no, the Luyon made sure that they have strong engagement with their staff and communities, and of course their visitors as well. And through these efforts, no, believe it or not, no, the resort was able to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, water and electricity consumption, which equates to a reduction of approximately 40% of their total running cost. So for me, in my personal perspective, no, the Luyon is actually an epitome of an example that goes to show that choosing green technologies and going green actually makes business sense, no, at least in the long run, right? Next slide, please. Okay. So briefly, no, through the examples I have shared with you all, although there's just 4 of them, no, you can see that circular economy is actually working in tourism. It's actually doable, right? As exhibited in this framework, no, itong framework of circular economy and in tourism and hospitality, right? But if you focus and look closer on this framework, no, I hope that there's something familiar that you can notice, right? So I hope you're familiar with the concept. So it's called sustainable tourism, right? And yes, you're correct. Circular economy can actually be viewed as a precursor or as a contributor of promoting sustainable tourism with its emphasis on regenerating and balancing between natural, cultural, and human capital, right? So as you can see, it's quite similar, right? So next slide, please. So as the closing part, no, as a conclusion, without having to remember all the complex diagrams and models explaining how circular economy works, let me put it simply, no. Circular economy is actually plain and simple. It is actually your sustainability compass of your everyday choices, activities, and decisions. Next, please. For example, it tells you, you get to decide what type of business owner you want to become. Or next, please, or what type of tourist you want to be, right? If you're not a business owner, for sure you'll be a tourist at one point and another, right? So what kind of tourist do you want to be? And accompanying circular economy, obviously, as shown in the cases I've presented, is the need for all tourism sectors, may you be from transport, accommodations, F&B, tour operators, no, to question their purpose and to question their contributions, their operations, whether it's affecting natural, social, and economic aspects of development, right? So again, just like my introduction, no? So with the 20 minutes, hopefully I'm on time, no? The 20 minutes spent talking about circular economy, can you now reimagine the future of tourism? Next, please. Next, please. Are you in or out? And with that, I thank you for, again, this opportunity to be able to present this, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Miss Ayla. I super appreciate that presentation actually personally, because I feel that circular economy is still a pretty big word for some of us. So thank you so much for expounding on this important concept, which can be used in our sustainable tourism today. And it was especially very inspiring to see existing case studies abroad and here in the Philippines. um, I'm just reminded how there are so many possibilities and opportunities where we can start integrating these principles in both business and in our personal lives. So thank you again, Ms. Ela. And speaking of opportunities, our next speaker will be providing a unique approach on how tourism businesses can take practicing circular economy to the next level. She is the program officer of the National Eco-Labeling Program, Green Choice Philippines, since 2017. NELP GCP is a voluntary program following the principles and procedures of ISO 14024, and it awards the Green Choice Seal of approval to products and services that reduce their environmental impact. She is also the project officer of the Capacity Building and Training Project under the ongoing technical assistance of the Advanced SCP project of GIZ Thailand. The project aims to strengthen the implementation of green public procurement in the Philippines through development and review of technical specifications and relevant capacity building trainings. She is also one of the PCEPSDI trainers on sustainable consumption and production tools such as green procurement, eco-labeling, environmental awareness seminars, and development of technical specifications for environment-friendly products. Please welcome Ms. Joel Nerveza from the Philippine Center for Environmental Protection and Sustainable Development, Inc. Ms. Joel, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you for that, Andy. Okay, I'll share my screen now. Okay. Before I start, I want to ask if you all can hear me well.
Yes, loud and clear, Ms. Joel.
Okay, thank you, Andy. And again, thank you for the first speakers and our guest speakers, and also for our TVC stakeholders and partners present here, and for the TVC team who have organized this event for practicing circular economy in the hospitality sector during COVID-19. So taking it from the presentation of Miss Ada, so I'd like to have an answer also to that question on how we can apply circular economy and what we can do through the Green Choice Philippines program. And taking from that presentation, I'll present what kind of business and what kind of consumer you can be if you are going to patronize the seal of approval for the Green Choice Philippines. So for the next 20 minutes, I'll be presenting what is Green Choice Philippines, how it works, and how do we gear towards circular economy. So we have a good principles of circular economy that was shared earlier. So before we proceed about Green Choice Philippines, first I'd like to define what is eco-labeling. So in your screen right now, we have here the definition from ISO 14020, environmental labels and declaration. Eco-labeling involves the practice of labeling products and services based on a wide range of environmental considerations. When we say checking the labels, I think you will remember or maaalala nyo yung commercial ni Sara Labati for Nido. So we always have to check the labels, and with that, I'd like you to introduce to diverse labels in the market. So in your screen right now, you can see lots of logos, certifications in there. But the question is, do you know or are you aware of some of the labels here in your screen? So of course, if we're going to talk about labels, it's important to know what you're looking for and what kind of communications that you're looking at. So in my presentation, I'm going to present something about the environmental labels and declarations. So the communications are about environmental claims of a particular product and services. So with these diverse labels in the market, we can look at some kinds of labels here. So we can look at mandatory or voluntary labels, and we can also look at the level of verification. So for Green Choice Philippines, it's voluntary and third party because the administrator is the Philippine Center for Environmental Protection and Sustainable Development, Inc. And then we can look at also the sectoral application. Does it look at the sourcing of materials, the consumption, and the disposal? So for Green Choice Philippines, we're looking at a multi-sectoral application wherein we're looking at the entire life cycle of a product. And then for some other labelings, we can look at the coverage of issues and also type of information that they are communicating. With that, what is Green Choice Philippines and how it works? For Green Choice Philippines, it is a voluntary third-party Type 1 eco-labeling program, and it's based on the guidelines and principle of ISO 14024. And if you are going to apply for the Green Choice Seal, we don't give accreditation for ISO 14024. So we'll just give you a license and the permission to use the Green Choice Philippines logo. And for Green Choice Philippines, we provide criteria for environmentally preferable products. So before we can award the seal, it's important to have the product criteria or service criteria first. And we consider the life cycle of the product. So we're looking at the linear part of the economy. So of course, before you go to circular economy, you first have to go through the linear economy. And that is where the opportunity come for Green Choice Philippines, because our basic principle is on life cycle of a product or services. And Green Choice Philippines is a member of Global Eco-Labeling Network. This is the network of all eco-labeling scheme in the world. So right now we have 30 to 35 members, I think. And of course, the program is multi-sector initiative. So we have the government, businesses, academic, civic organizations in the different activities, just to ensure that we got all the comments and perspectives of different sectors. It can be specified into industries as well. And for criteria development, it's a consultative process using the life cycle perspective, looking at the sourcing of materials, its manufacturing, consumption, and up to its disposal. And for the advocacy and promotion, of course, for initiatives like this, we're talking about environmental labels and declarations. It is very important to promote the program, Green Choice Philippines, green products, and green procurement. And in your screen right now are some of the NELP GCP awarded products. And there, some of the NELP GCP awarded products. And why do brands or companies apply for the Green Choice Seal? So one, they wanted their products to be verified as green or whatever environmental claims that they have. So of course, here in the Philippines, so many products and services says that they are for sustainability and that their products are green. And some of these companies really are trying to have everything proofed. So they go for the Green Choice Philippines seal. So once you see this Green Choice seal, in some products in the market, it means that they have passed and complied a criteria, which is established under Green Choice Philippines. And second is that some companies have this mission, envision to have their to have their business shift towards to a more sustainable practices. Third is market demand. So there are clients that want to buy green products. So that's one huge factor for getting the seal. And fourth is access to incentives. And fifth is to participate for green public green public-private procurement. Because if, of course, if you have the seed, you don't have to prove yourself so much, because the program is already established and following an ISO guidelines, and that we have established a criteria. And once you get the seal, it means that you have complied everything in the criteria. And for the main activities of Green Choice Philippines, so first we have criteria development, and then certification and licensing, and promotion and advocacy. So this in these activities, is where the opportunity opens for us to shift towards circular economy. And how do we gear towards circular economy? So for criteria development, we can look at how the products are being manufactured. We can actually integrate the circular economy concepts presented earlier in the criteria. So for Green Choice Philippines, our criteria have two aspects, and that includes environmental performance and quality performance. So that means we can include something that would lead to circular economy. So I'll share something in the next few slides on how we can integrate circular economy to our criteria development. And for certification, of course, once you see the Green Choice seal, it means whatever you bought with this seal, it means it has satisfied our criteria. And whatever their claims is, it's true and it's verified by the program. So the logo is being used by the eco-labeled companies to communicate their environmental compliance. And I believe later, one of our eco-labeled products, Quanta Paper, will also present their case. Let's wait for that presentation later. And last, for promotion and advocacy, of course, with our initiative, we'd like to communicate as well, to inform everyone from businesses, consumers, and to our policymakers. So in this, we have the opportunity to include a circularity to our existing promotion and advocacy initiatives. And next item, so this is the linear economy. So I'm posting it here for a more visual appreciation. So for Green Choice Philippines, in our criteria development, we're looking at the sourcing of materials, manufacturing, consumption, the use of that particular product or service, and the disposal. And if we are going to look at circular economy, what kind of principles that we can integrate? So for example, from consumption, from the use of a particular product, if something got broken, so it can be repaired. If a particular product has been bought by a consumer, it can be reused and be sold again. And then it can be refurbished, or it can be renovated, or you can do something that can give another purpose for that particular product. And another example is recycle. So when you talk about circular economy, there are lots of things that you can integrate actually into linear economy. So I can say that it's sky's the limit, because until this day, many innovations are being presented, especially right now in the banning of SUPs. There are lots of innovations coming in right there and then, because I think the industry really have to do something if they wanted to stay relevant and stay in the market. So for that banning, I think there's lots of activities going on right now in the plastic industry. And for Green Choice Philippines to proceed, for products and service providers, of course, as we are looking at circular economy, we can design your product or services with its entire life cycle considered, of course, gearing towards circular economy. And then we can look at the impact across the life cycle, still reduced, because of course our target in the certification is to reduce your environmental impact and not transfer one impact to another. And third, we can look at raw material reduction and selection. We can look at alternative products. And then we could promote resource efficiency during production and during product use. And also as a supply chain tool, of course, we can use Green Choice Philippine Seal to green your supply chain, to green your procurement. And as a market tool, as a market-based tool, of course, for Green Choice Philippines, you can position your product as green products, which is verified by a third party program. And for consumers, so we can have a transparent information since all of the criteria are published in our website. So our website is here. It's www.pcepsdi.org.ph. So if you see a cement or a laundry detergent or tiles with the green choice seal, you can look at the criteria that they are following. So you can know what kind of environmental communications they are trying to communicate, bearing that seal of approval. Second, use of product or services that facilitates the other R's, so reuse, recycle, refurbish, and the other R's. Of course, there are lots of principles in the circular economy. And last is can be used to meet their sustainability targets. So if you are a consumer, whether individual or institutional, you have targets that you want to reach. And of course, for example, you want to buy green products, you can look for Green Choice Philippines and other eco-labeling schemes in the market. We have Japan EcoMark, Singapore Green Label, Sirim of Malaysia, Blue Angel, and other more. So you can check the Global Eco-Labeling Network for the other eco-labeling programs. And for Philippines, of course, we have the Green Choice Philippines. And as conclusion, for businesses, of course, Green Choice Philippines can provide an opportunity to innovate towards circular economy, and it will also provide recognition. So right now, the eco-labeled products are being monitored by the National Economic and Development Authority, because we are reporting the eco-labeled products as a sustainability indicator in the Philippine Development Plan. So we report everything with them. And of course, as a communication and marketing tool, because of course you can use the Green Choice Seal of approval to market your products as green products. And for consumers, of course, this label serves as a shopping guide and a supply chain of control, and also to meet your own individual sustainability target. And for institutional buyer, it will also help you meet your targets. And for government, of course, it can help provide incentive to innovate for the businesses, and then stimulate demand through public procurement. So if you want to look for green products, you can look for the Green Choice Philippines seal, and hopefully we can do lots of more promotion activities in the upcoming months to have the Green Choice Philippines more visible to everyone, because of course in initiatives like this, it's really challenging to communicate what the program is about and what kind of environmental claims and environmental communication we want the audience to understand. So in this presentation, I have presented how GCP works and how we can gear towards circular economy. And for next steps, right now for Green Choice Philippines, actually right now I'm in Cebu. We are currently auditing restaurants for Green Choice Philippines. So hopefully next month we can post who are the restaurants awarded for Green Choice Philippines. And coming up next is our criteria for sustainable packaging, which is also timely. So for those who are asking about the biodegradability of a particular product or any concerns on single-use plastics, we hope that through that criteria, we can address that for the consumers, questions on those environmental concerns, hopefully by looking at the seal, you can check what criteria they are satisfying, and that you can um, buy products with the Green Choice Philippine seal for packaging. And yeah, hopefully this year also we can draft a criteria for accommodations. Though we haven't started it yet, so we haven't scoped it down, whether it's for hotel, resorts, and the um other coverage for sustainable tourism. But hopefully for this year we can add that to the existing criteria that we have, especially for the restaurants. So that's it from my end, and thank you everyone, and I hope you stay, because we still have another batch of speakers that you can learn a lot from gearing towards circular economy. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Ms. Joel. It's great to see exactly how eco-labeling and certification schemes can contribute to the promotion of a circular economy. I'm sure a lot of us here are also hearing about how criteria development works for the first time. And to our participants, please feel free to shoot PCEPSDI an email should you be interested to learn more about our upcoming criteria on sustainable packaging, and also about the food service establishment criteria, and also about the National Eco-Labeling Program, Green Choice Philippines in general. So thank you again, Ms. Joel. And I see that we have some questions already from our audience. So I would like to welcome our first four speakers back to the virtual floor. So Ms. Raquel, Attorney Catillo, Ms. Ayla, and Ms. Joel. A reminder to our participants, if possible, kindly indicate the speaker that you wish to address the question to. Are they all here? Yeah, okay. So let's take the first question muna for Ms. Raquel and Attorney Catillo. Actually, the question is addressed to both of you. So our first question is, it's extremely difficult as it is already for local governments to implement existing SUPs and waste management ordinances. How do the Congress and BENR EMB plan to monitor enforcement of the new discussed laws or bills? Maybe Attorney, you can go ahead.
Well, I think EMB can go ahead.
Actually, we have no enforcement power for the greenwashing, unless there will be a case filed
Sorry, Ms. Raquel.
yes?
Sorry. The question po is how does DENR EMB plan to monitor enforcement of the newly discussed laws or bills? So I think Mr. Haniel is referring to the SUP Plastic Product Regulation Act. Mr. Haniel, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, okay. I thought you were referring to the question in the chat box. Anyway, monitoring the how will DNR monitor the Single-Use Plastic Act? Is that the question?
Yes, po. Given that it's already difficult to for local governments to implement existing SUP regulations and waste management ordinances.
Actually, now we are asking the LGUs to submit their ordinances on the plastic regulation. But maybe it should be included in the act also that on the monitoring of this. But as of now, the setup of EMB is that The regional offices are the one monitoring the LGUs, and if it is required in the law that they will be regulating the plastics, we will be monitoring that. How are they regulating? And through the waste analysis and characterization study that they will be submitting to the National Solid Waste Commission, which will be included in their solid waste management plans, it will be computed there by the LGUs how much is their reduction of the plastic waste, what is their target for the waste diversion, and things like that. And of course, what is their targets for disposal. So that is the way for the EMB to monitor the as when they are submitting their solid waste management plans. And the National Solid Waste Management Commission is the one to monitor their compliance to the plan that they submitted. And the EMB also has environmental monitoring officers that monitor the littering, open burning, and other prohibited acts in RA 9003. And also if there are complaints from individuals that are reported to the Bureau, we investigate that. So that is the monitoring of the EMB.
Thank you for that, Ms. Raquel. Attorney, would you like to add to that?
Well, in always in environmental legislation, the lead agency principle is adopted, in meaning the lead agency, the same being the DNR, linkage mechanism should be interplayed with the National Solid Waste Management Commission, with the LGUs, DTI, the ILG, and other concerned sector agencies, and even private sectors in the country. So, well, it is always inherent in the function of the role of LGUs to be primarily responsible in the implementation and or monitoring of the compliance of waste segregation, collection, recovery, transport, recycling, and disposal of solid waste, and that includes the management of the waste coming from plastic products. So there would be an interplay of roles insofar as the monitoring and management of the solid waste.
Okay. Thank you for that, Attorney. If we could quickly jump to the next question to save on time. This is addressed to Ms. Joel. What action do you take when it comes to companies that are claiming that their products are environmentally friendly or practicing greenwashing? Do you issue for non-compliance or not?
Okay, thank you for that question. For Green Choice Philippines, of course, we can only monitor those that are awarded with the Green Choice Philippines seal. So if there's a case that one eco-labeled product have something like greenwashing, or they have violations on the environment, if this is still to process the application and the certification, I don't think they will pass, because we have a strict criteria, and then there's an audit wherein a third party auditor goes to the company or to where the product is being manufactured, wherein those documents that they submitted are being verified. So not because you submitted a particular documentation you get a pass. So it doesn't work like that. And for greenwashing, there we are particular also in labeling and markings just to ensure that they don't abuse the green choice seal of approval. So I don't think we have any experience on that. And if there is, we'll have to notify the eco-labeled companies that they have this greenwashing statement in their packaging, and it has to be changed and it has to be checked depending on the urgency. If it's minor, it can be corrected after a year because we do monitoring of compliance wherein we check them annually. We visit them again for a surveillance audit. If it's major, it has to be corrected immediately depending on the agreement with the auditor. So for issue of non-compliance, I think we have something on withdrawal of green choice seal. If sobrang laki ng violation, we can actually suspend them, and we can suspend and cancel the certification. So that is how it works. I hope I answered your question. And for any other companies that don't have the green choice seal of approval, we don't have the power to issue anything or do anything for them. So that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Joel, for that, for expounding on that question. From Ms. Marilyn, I think this can be addressed to Ms. Ayla. So many initiatives towards sustainability have been conceived as of the moment, like the banning of SUPs. How can we move forward while at the same time making sure that every step of the way no one is left behind? For example, the PWD community.
Okay, thank you, Andy. I'll just tie it up with another question from, because I was reading the chats, no, with Raul's question on where the circularity of the products begin. So, in terms of ensuring inclusivity and in pursuing anything, it really starts with the mindset of the management, I would say. Again, just like connected with the question of Sir Raul, no, circularity happens when we decide that when something is considered a waste, or if something can still be reused. So in the same way that if we consider in our paradigms that, you know, when we do changes, we also account for the needs of those who, of others, like for example those in PWD, or even women sector or other marginalized sectors, right? It could be part of the circularity process. As I've mentioned in some of the examples, no, circularity cannot happen without partnerships with local communities. It cannot be na just because a resort wanted to be circular doesn't mean it can stand on its own and decide for itself that it will be circular. It has to involve and make sure that it has a strong partnership with the surrounding communities in the area.
Okay, thank you for that, Ms. Ayla. Going back to Ms. Raquel, if you could enlighten us on one of our questions from registration. Is there any difference in the approach in waste management between before the pandemic and now, during the pandemic? Is there any difference in the approach of our country to waste management between before the pandemic and during the pandemic?
Yes and no. Kasi before the pandemic, we emphasize segregation. So in the pandemic, we had additional healthcare ways to manage. So we still advocate segregation the same way that we did before, but we include the segregation of the PPEs now. This, of course, has, as I presented earlier, has to be handled separately because they are healthcare waste and have to be treated before disposal. So, nadagdagan yung mga minamanage natin na waste, and we have to add treatment first before disposal of the healthcare waste. But still, we have to follow the segregation, segregated collection. composting and recycling.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Raquel. So it's more of a yes or no question. Okay, sige po. For Attorney Catulio, we would like to ask, how can the tourism industry provide support for this bill to be issued as soon as possible and during its implementation?
What industry, ma'am? Sorry.
Tourism industry po.
Tourism.
Tourism, yes po.
Well, poster, advertisement, and then well, anything that will support kasi we're still the bill is still lodged in the House of Representatives after it was passed in the third reading. This will be submitted or forwarded to the Senate. So it would be very much good help if you would really advertise or promote the passage of the bill. Well, particularly the two-pronged approach that I talk about, the upstream and the downstream solutions.
All right po. Thank you, Attorney. Upstream and downstream. In short, actually going back to Ms. Joel, if we can ask, how can the public start learning more about eco-labeling or be more aware about greenwashing?
For one, you have to know what you're looking for. So for example, if you see the Mobius loop, kung nakikita nyo yun, yung pag nakita nyo, akala nyo ibig sabihin, recycled siya or nare-recycle. If na-imagine nyo yung parang triangle. So wala ako ditong bagay na may ganon. If you look at the Mobius loop kasi, it only communicates that particular product is recyclable. But it doesn't mean that particular product is made of 100% recycled paper, something like that. So merong ganong mga labels na minsan akala natin it means something. For example, yung logo ng WWF Philippines, yung panda, sometimes kapag nakita mo siya, akala mo environment friendly yan. But of course, that panda is a logo of an organization that is promoting conservation and protection of the environment. So, for greenwashing, I think meron din kasing responsibility ang consumers to be aware and educated of the things that you're looking for a particular product or service provider. For example, sa cosmetics, nakakita ka doon ng bunny. So, if you are going to check that, it means, I forgot the name of the certification, I'm sorry. But it means na yung product mo ay hindi siya tinest sa animals. So, you can look at those kind of labels. So, depende siya sa application. Actually, meron namang products, for example, yung sa tissue papers, specific lang sa sourcing ng materials. Yung logo na FSC and PCEPSDI, kung makikita nyo yung, i-google nyo rin siya, you can try to look at that. If you see those logos, it means na yung raw materials of that particular product, it can be a bond paper, a tissue, it means na yung fiber ay nakuha sa sustainably managed forest. So how can you really avoid greenwashing? Kailangan natin siyang gawin ng sabay. We have to educate the consumer and also made the manufacturers aware of these kinds of labelings that they can put into their products just to prove their environmental claims. So yeah, that's it. I hope I answered something else. And yeah, you can visit our website, and I think for this year we'd like to have a Facebook page wherein we can put informations like that. So for you to be kept posted, please like the PCEPSDI Facebook page. Maybe the TVC team can show it later. The PCEPSDI Facebook page wherein everything about eco-labeling will be posted as well. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Joel. Actually, I think there are also mobile applications, right, that have parang guides to eco-labeling. So I'm not sure if it's called the eco-labeling guide. So maybe the audience can also look that up. There are mobile apps that can educate us on these labels. And then to save on time, we have one last question for Miss Ayla. We'd like to ask, how can the practice of circular economy be more advocated, implemented, or upscaled in the tourism industry?
Thanks, Andy. I actually tried to answer it on the chat as well, so let me just echo it. As again, no, circular economy is easier said than done. I mean, if you look at the examples and the models, you will think, ay, madali lang to, it's easy, it's just mindset, it's just, choices that we make. But what we don't realize is that this all depends on how it's aware the public is made aware. So I would say it all starts with education. I think there was one, I forgot which story was it, but they shared that the concept of sustainability and the concept, for example, of of circular economy actually is quite simple. No, just take what you can get. If we start teaching this to like kids at the very beginning, no, it's something that they can carry on when they grow up. Again, no, it's a mindset kind of thing, no? Like kasi the circular economy is when you decide if something is a waste or not. So that means it's the way you're thinking, is the way you were brought up. So if as kids pa lang, no, we get to realize that that education is the beginning of it, then it's something that we can also be included maybe in the curriculum or like in more webinars such as these.
Okay, thank you for that, Miss Ayla. So it's actually now 3:36. I'd like to thank the speakers for sharing your insights. That was a lively discussion from our first panel, and I'm sure the audience has already learned so much. But please hold on to the edge of your seats in time for our next panel, coming back after a quick 5-minute break for everyone to freshen up, drink some water, or go to the bathroom. So we'll see you all guys after 5 minutes. Thank you. Welcome back everyone to our webinar on practicing circular economy in the hospitality sector during COVID-19, brought to you by the Philippine Center for Environmental Protection and Sustainable Development, Inc., through the Transforming Tourism Value Chains project and co-presented by the Philippine Department of Tourism. So our first panel was able to discuss the effects of the pandemic on waste management streams and how we can lessen the burden of this waste, coming from, number one, the policy making side, the research and academe sector, and then from an environmental and GO perspective. So we're now moving on to our second panel, Sustainable Solutions in the Tourism Value Chain, where we'll hear from three organizations which the tourism sector can tap into for more sustainable alternatives in their value chain. So let's welcome our first speaker of this panel, who is the founder and CEO of EcoNest Philippines. Our speaker has extensive experience in marketing and distribution, as she has handled premium international brands in fashion, bathroom, kitchen systems, and biopackaging for more than a decade. She found the need to provide trustworthy, eco-friendly solutions and alternatives for local industries after being exposed to the magnitude of plastic waste generated by enterprises in the Philippines and across the globe. She has continuously been advocating to lessen the consumption of harmful single-use plastics and is pursuing further studies in the field of solid waste management. Now an advocate for lessening harmful single-use plastic waste, she founded EcoNest Philippines with the aim to encourage consumers and business owners to be more mindful of how their products and brands consume and dispose of resources. So everyone, please welcome Ms. Nikki Sevilla, founder and CEO of EcoNest Philippines. Ms. Nikki, the floor is yours.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So first of all, I'd like to thank PCEPSDI for inviting me so I can share more information about our company and our initiatives as well. So hold on, I'll be sharing my screen. Okay, let me know if you can see it. Is it clear?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, that's good. There we go. Okay, so again, good afternoon. My name is Nikki Sevilla. I'm one of the co-founders of EcoNest Philippines. We are a one-stop shop of eco-packaging items, and we started in 2018. So our main goal is to be able to create a community of individuals and enterprises thriving in a circular economy. One of the major reasons why we started the business is that we would like to provide tangible ways in order for us to be able to tackle plastic pollution. So we are latching on the concept of corporate sustainability. Most businesses, of course, were always focused on profit, making as much money as you can. But as a social enterprise, actually, we have triple bottom lines. So it's for the people, for the planet, for prosperity. All the initiatives and activities that we do, it's really not only for profit, not only to be able to gain as much as we can, but of course, we would like to be able to provide good impact in the society and at the same time, be able to protect our planet in any way that we can. Okay. So as we all know, we have encountered a lot of issues when it comes to waste management. So again, it's not just plastic, even solid waste. Time and again, I always share, even if we provide all these compostables, the fact that if these are not properly disposed of, we're just contributing to our issues with solid waste. So there truly is a need for kinder solutions. So we do as much as we can. We try to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So that's why at EcoNest Philippines, we created 3 brand pillars in order for us to really align all our initiatives to be able to achieve our triple bottom line. So number 1, of course, it's prevent. We prevent the consequences of plastic and chemical waste by offering innovative solutions in order for our partners to pursue sustainable practices. So right now we're carrying different categories. Number 1, we have the cassava bio bags. They're actually made from starch and they can melt in hot water. And then we also have the corn bags or PLA bags. We have trash bags and we have cling wraps as well. We have honeycomb wraps. So these are made from virgin craft material. And then at the same time, we have cutleries made from birchwood and bamboo straws, which are actually more durable compared to paper ones. We also have sugarcane containers. It comes in different sizes and shapes. For corporate merchandise, we have the plantable pens. So under Prevent, we make sure, of course, so that we are able to curate all our items and ensure that these are accompanied by different tests and certifications. So right now we are working with a certain organization or a third party in order for us to really test how soon can these compostables biodegrade if you're using like home composting. And then, as part of this, we are also making sure that the items are accessible. That's why for EcoNest, we created the Sustainability Alliance, wherein we activated different distributors nationwide. So right now we have more than 11 distributors. So we try to make these items as accessible as we can to different enterprises and businesses here in the Philippines. So the next brand pillar is called Cure. So just recently, we have established EcoNest Academy. It is our platform wherein we share information, not only about eco-packaging, but at the same time, the possible best practices of our stakeholders, our partners. We come up with infographics, we come up with different collaterals to be able to share with the community, to share with the public some information that are really useful in order for us to better understand how we can tackle our environmental issues. So prior to the lockdown, actually, we really try to be as active as we can when it comes to different activities that we can do off-site. Before, we actually conducted a tree planting activity and an outreach program with Love Education Philippines. So we taught the kids some information about the environment. At the same time, we shared with them the benefits of cassava bio bag. So it's really important for people to really understand and know that these products exist already, and these items can be returned back to nature. We are also working with Walausik and Danjugan Island. So right now they are trying to educate the MSMEs in their area about the use of eco packaging as well. Fortunately, we're able to work with Decathlon as well. So it's good that they are very active when it comes to coming up with communications on how to properly dispose of the cassava bags that they are using. So with Sustain, our last brand pillar, we encourage our stakeholders and our partners to really take action. So we're fortunate enough to work with different brands who are very active in sharing or promoting their initiatives in order for them to be able to live sustainably. So these are just some of the brands that we're working with. And just for you to have an idea, together, we were able to eliminate 37 tons of petroleum-based plastic from inhibiting our environment. It's half as heavy as a space shuttle. It's still a small number compared, of course, to the consumption of other types of packaging items. But of course, we start somewhere. We start small, and at the same time, by working together, we can achieve, hopefully, in the future, bigger numbers. Okay. So under Sustain, we also make use of the circular integration concept, wherein we try to do what we can in order for us to be able to contribute in closing the loop. As a distribution company, we try as much as we can to work with different organizations as well, in order for us to help our clients find ways in order for them to dispose of their compostable or organic wastes properly. Right now, we're working on pilot projects in Bulacan and in Tondo. So we are working with Bokashi Pinoy Philippines. They have really great mentors who are doing what they can in order to spread information about the proper fermentation of the compostables using the Bokashi bucket. And at the same time, we're working with St. John Bosco Parish. They currently have a composting facility in Tondo. And what's good about them is that they were able to convert their soccer field into an arable land. So right now, they're planting a lot of vegetables. And definitely, we'll be working closely with them when it comes to providing solutions for our clients and our partners too. And last but not the least, we have Sachi Group Inc. So they are the pioneer bioplastic manufacturer here in the Philippines. So we are very, very excited to work with these organizations, and of course with Green Choice Philippines as well. We'd like to learn more. There's so much that we can actually do in order for us to address our current issues right now. And it's really not about being perfect. It's not about us providing the perfect solution. It's really about being on the journey to do better. So I'd like to encourage everyone to rethink and listen to that small voice inside of you telling you that it's about time that you take responsibility of your future and start taking action. So time and again, I always share that sustainability does not start when you purchase these eco packaging items or reusable items. It actually starts from within you. The moment that you realize that you have to do something about our current environmental issues, then that's already a big feat. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned a thing or two from me.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nikki, for sharing with us EcoNest brand pillars, your environmental educational programs and products. It's really great to hear that our tourism businesses and also other kinds of businesses and organizations can look to and are already looking to EcoNest for collaborations and more sustainable alternatives to packaging and other items that are usually non-biodegradable. So going beyond problematic plastics, our next speaker's advocacy involves tackling an equally frustrating global problem, which is food waste. She is the chief soil mate of Green Space Filipinas, having graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Electronics and Communications Engineering in De La Salle University. She has engaged in the business of waste diversion and resource transformation, strongly advocates that it's time we stop sending our food waste to the landfills. Having been trained as a climate reality leader by Al Gore in 2016 and completing a soil advocates course with international group Kiss the Ground, she ventured into the unending search for soil mates. A soil mate is committed to the act of composting food waste to contribute to regenerating the planet through reducing greenhouse gas emissions from landfills, returning more carbon in the soil, and promoting soil health everywhere. So let's hope that we get more soil mates through this webinar. And everyone, please welcome Ms. Rina Papio, founder of Green Space Filipinas. Ms. Rina, the floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that introduction, and I'll be sharing my screen. All right, so is it good? Are you able to see the screen now?
Yes, so we can see it.
Okay. All right, again, thank you. Good afternoon, Rina from Green Space, and I'm happy to be with you this afternoon to share with you what we do in Green Space. And I am truly hoping that today will be the day you treat food waste differently and see how much resource you have in your business that can be put into good use. When we think of things like urban gardening, farming, food security, climate change, we need to talk about one essential thing, and that is soil, or more specifically, healthy soil. And maybe you're not aware, but on a daily basis, there is a way for each one of us to participate in building healthy soil by simply changing the way we look at food waste. Food is in the core of the hospitality industry, right? People travel and celebrate to enjoy different food experiences. They want to explore different destinations. But this afternoon, we'll be talking about a new destination, and it's for food waste. Because don't we all love to eat? And the fact is, every time we eat, there's unavoidable waste. So both food and packaging waste. Imagine all the time and effort spent in producing the food. Many of our farmers face a lot of challenges, including degraded soil. And then there are challenges in bringing all the food from the source to our homes or our place of business, especially during calamities when roads are blocked. Then there's time spent lovingly preparing food in the kitchen by the best chefs at home or the best chefs in the world. But once food reaches the table, it's gone in just a few minutes, diba? Which is actually good. What's worse is when people hoard food into their plate, only to leave them behind, sometimes untouched. What's left behind now? Scraps from all the preparation, leftovers, which we throw away. So there must be a better way to food waste. Just this month, the Climate Reality Project Philippines posted on their Facebook page some information from the National Solid Waste Management Commission. So it says that 27.1% of all solid waste in our country comes from commercial sources. So that would be commercial establishments, which includes offices, hotels, restaurants, and the markets. And that more than half of what is being thrown away are food waste, garden waste, biodegradables that are highly valuable resources being wasted. But let's talk more about food waste. Why do we need to talk about food waste? Globally, over 1/3 of food produced goes to waste. And here in our country, 2,175 tons of food waste thrown away daily comes from Metro Manila alone. NCR pa lang over 2,000 tons. And a few grams of this could be coming from each of our homes, from somebody's kitchen, from our business. We put them in bags, send them over to the garbage collector, who delivers them to a landfill where they decay anaerobically, producing and sending greenhouse gases such as methane into the atmosphere. We don't want more methane in our atmosphere. We already know that. Talk about global warming, climate change, the climate crisis we're facing. But sadly, every bag of waste we send to the landfill is our share in damaging the planet. But we remain hopeful because this same food waste that can cause so much damage to our planet can actually heal it. And that is our goal in Green Space. We want to be able to help as many people, as many businesses from making this one important and urgent change from landfillers to land healers. And we will do that by ending the old degenerative practice of mixing waste in plastic bags, send them to the truck, bring them to the landfill. So the solution that we offer is a switch from garbage bags to buckets, so we can use the food waste to feed the soil and regenerate the planet. So after today, let's always be bothered and feel uneasy whenever we see food waste ending in garbage bags mixed with other waste. Hindi na dapat ganon. This is what Green Space is all about. So Green Space is a food waste composting company. When you hear Green Space, think of it as the new destination for your food waste. So hindi na landfill ang destination ng food waste. Where food waste is not trash, where food waste is treated as a valuable resource in building a healthy soil. Therefore, it is our vision in Green Space for composting to become an integral part of every person's daily life. In the same manner that we need to eat, drink, sleep, we need to put all things in its proper place, including food waste, to always go for composting. By composting, we build healthy soil, which will become our constant connection to our food source. So it may happen in your own backyard, in a community garden. Think of NCR's 2,000 tons of food waste daily. If it will be turned into compost and sent to help our farmers to have healthier soil, for growing the food that we eat, that's going to be each of us our role in the story of regeneration. So deciding to compost means allowing yourself to be part of this regeneration. So I hope you're already feeling excited about composting. There are different ways to compost, but what matters is finding the method that suits you, your household, your business, your lifestyle. In Green Space, we teach about a simple method called bokashi composting. Bokashi is a Japanese term. It means fermented organic matter. So the key to bokashi composting is the anaerobic fermentation, which happens without the presence of air in a sealed bucket. And it's this fermentation stage that sets bokashi composting different from other composting methods. The acidity or the pH drop during that fermentation prevents rotting. So there's no foul odor, it will not attract pests. These are things people commonly worry about when talking about composting. Now, when we shift to bokashi composting, there's a new skill that needs to be learned. It's the art of layering food waste in your composting buckets. It's actually a simple method, simple process, simple because of the fact that all food waste can be added. So from raw fruits, vegetable scraps, leftovers, including meat, dairy, there's no need to sort through your food waste. There's no need to leave anything behind. You just toss everything into your bucket and layer it properly with bran. And the crucial thing, what comes crucial in bokashi composting is the bran, the bokashi bran, because it contains the beneficial microbes responsible for the fermentation process, which is something that Green Space also makes. And if there's anything that you need to seriously learn about bokashi composting, it's understanding the smell of fermentation. Starting with your bokashi bran, it will have a sweet, sour smell. Think vinegar. Once you start collecting in your bucket should also have that same fermented, close to vinegar smell. Not that gusto nating mangamoy suka, no? But without this bokashi brand, you could end up with putrefying waste smells, the odor of nabubulok na basura. Yun yung ayaw natin. So what is Buka Bucket? Since what we want is for composting to be available to everyone, we recognize the different challenges in composting, which is why we provide composting services to those who need it. So Buka Bucket is the core of the green space. Many of us can compost on our own, and we welcome that and support that. But in this urban jungle where we are mostly surrounded by pavements, where people are challenged in terms of space and time, yet they're very much willing and are actually looking for ways, no matter how small, to contribute to making this world a better place. So we want to tell them, hey, learn the Bokashi way, put your food waste in the bucket, layer it with the Bokashi brand, then book a bucket exchange, and we'll take care of the rest. So this is what being a soulmate is all about. You do your best in collecting your food waste, and we will fulfill our end with the composting services. So even if you have limitations, challenges in composting, just consider the subscription-based composting services. What it means is you just commit to putting all your food waste properly layered in buckets, and then we'll take care of the composting part. So you collect, and then we compost, and what happens to the food waste, they will never end up in the landfill. They will go to a composting site, turn into compost, and from the compost, build healthy soil that can be used in growing the food that we eat. In 2018, we started working with WWF under their Sustainable Diner program. Part of the whole sustainable program is what needs to be done in terms of food waste. And this is, of course, after all the other steps of actually preventing more food waste. So they share in the program how you can make sure that you don't waste too much. But at the end of the line, anything that needs to be thrown away, there we put the composting program so that none of it would ever end in a landfill. And under this program, we are reaching out and offering services to restaurants in this industry, food industry, so that there is an option to actually prevent all this food waste ending in a landfill. And just last Friday, with the help of WWF, we were able to launch a mobile app, so it would make composting much simpler. It will be much easier to book your bucket exchange, and through the app you get to track how much food waste you're diverting away from the landfill. You get to monitor your greenhouse gas avoidance, and there's a rewards program that you can enjoy for your own or share to communities whom you're partnered with. So I hope you get to explore these services and see if it fits what is required for your business to be greener. And let me run a quick video about this app. There you go. So just to end, we're proud to share that from September 2020 to present, when we started offering the services to residential subscribers because of the pandemic, everyone's at home. So we wanted everyone at home to have an option for their food waste. We already have about 87 households and 8 businesses subscribed to the service. And we've already completed close to 500 bucket exchanges. And from this program alone, from the subscribers, from this close to 100 subscribers, we've already diverted close to 5 tons of food waste. But since we started in in 2018, that's about a total of 15 tons of food waste that we've already diverted. So not only are we lessening harmful greenhouse gas emissions through composting, but we are treating food waste as a valuable resource and putting them to great use. So and please remember that whenever we send our food waste to the landfill, we are throwing away a valuable resource that can help build soil. So it's really time to make that change from landfillers. Let us all become land healers. So be our soil mate and let's heal this planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rina, for sharing about the food waste problem and your recent developments in tackling food waste in the Philippines through bokashi composting. Actually, as a soil mate, I can really testify that it really reduces a large amount of our household's biodegradable waste. So I'm highly encouraging everyone and your household members to download their newly launched app so that we can put food waste back in the loop once and for all. So thank you again, Ms. Rina. So for the last speaker of this panel, I would like to welcome the Trade Marketing Manager of Quanta Paper Corporation, Mr. Aljon Gemperoa. Mr. Aljon, the floor is yours.
Can you allow yung shared screen?
Sige po.
Okay, great afternoon, everyone, especially to my fellow speakers. And of course, let me thank the officers and staff of Philippine Center for Environmental Protection and Sustainable Development for giving us this opportunity to share the current programs of Quanta Paper. So armed with this program, we continue our quest to become a market leader in the tissue paper and personal care products industry. But before I share my presentation, please indulge me by watching this short corporate audiovisual presentation that will provide you a glimpse of Quanta Paper and the reason why we do things differently from our competitors.
Imagine tons and tons of plastic polluting the seas and waves crashing back into the shores filled with garbage, the greenest hills being depleted of trees, and the future in danger of landslides and flooding. This is not what we want for our children. A world exposed to irresponsible human consumption. A world we can save through action and sustainability. Recycling paper saves 20 trees and 7,000 gallons of water, which ultimately leads to a healthier and greener environment. At Quanta Paper Corporation, consumers can make the right choice for the environment and be one with nature. Through a company where recycling and reduction of waste and carbon footprints are common practice, they can choose totally clean and hygienic tissue and personal care products that are good for the planet. They can choose the company aided and fueled by values, where passion for excellence, integrity, care for others, teamwork and collaboration, customer focus ensure quality products we can be proud of. Where love for Mother Earth and resourcefulness drive us to never compromise when it comes to eco-friendly products. Aside from recycling unused printed paper materials through world-class production, research, and development, we also only use virgin pulp materials that are sourced from suppliers with FSC-certified tree farms to produce the most hygienic and environmentally responsible tissue and personal care products. Quanta's vision is to be a reputable brand builder that people can actively choose every day for high-quality, affordable, hygienic products that show concern, care, and love for both customers and the environment. Our mission is to enforce innovative and caring solutions for both partners and stakeholders, learning, growing, contributing as one, all for sustainability. We exist not just for business, but in protecting the environment, guided by four key elements. In producing absolutely clean, hygienic materials that fill our hearts with pride. We are strong for the needs of consumers, with paper machines producing 1,450 tons and converting machines with 2,320 tons monthly. Each process is backed up by cutting-edge technology, facilities, and highly competent personnel. Which is why Quanta has been recognized with the Green Choice Philippines Seal of Approval.
Quanta was awarded the Green Choice Philippines Seal of Approval for their brands and products because of its conscious efforts and commitment in sustainability. Consumers can make a choice and express their advocacy on sustainability and environmental protection without compromising quality by patronizing Quanta products.
Where sustainability is no longer a dream, because consumers can now make it a reality. Where children can coexist in harmony with the environment. A world that's full of trees and a world fully cared for.
We want to give people the quality choice, the guilt-free choice, the choice that makes a better future for the planet, for everyone, especially the children. This is and what will always be what Quanta stands for.
Together, we can take action and be one with nature. Show the passion and heart of every Filipino for a better today and a sustainable tomorrow.
All right, thank you. That was our corporate audiovisual presentation. So let me share now my screen. But before that, I would like to give, of course, syempre, maayong hapon sa tanan labi na gayud sa atong mga participant gikan sa dakbayan sa Sugbo. Nakita ko sa comment section, I think majority mga millennial from Cebu Normal University. Shout out sa inyo dyan mga millennial attendees. Okay, let me share now my screen. Okay, let me begin with my presentation of a message from our Chief Executive Officer. So Quanta Paper is your strategic partner in ensuring your business realizes its commitment to sustainability and social responsibility. Being an eco-friendly company guarantees that your hygienic tissue supplies are made with strict compliance to environmental policies and with less environmental footprints. Of course, our company, I'm proud to announce that we are ISO certified. Technically, Quanta Paper demonstrate the ability to consistently provide products and services that meet customer and regulatory requirements. And of course, speaking of sustainability, Quanta Paper, our company, and Green Choice Philippines have been a sustainable partner for more than a decade now. And personally, I always feel honored and privileged whenever they invited me to become a speaker. Actually, as you can see in the picture, that was my first speaking engagement during the KGP3 conference in 2019 with that iconic green coat. And that was a very memorable experience for me. And today, I feel very, very happy. Here I am again speaking in front of millennial attendees. So I'm proud to announce that we are the only tissue manufacturing company in the Philippines whose paper products are marked with the Green Choice Seal of Approval, certifying that our products are environmentally safe and produced in accordance with the principles of environmental protection and sustainable development. Our flagship product, which is the fresh bathroom tissue, uses 100% recycled paper. Later on my succeeding slide, i-elaborate natin ano ba yung recycled paper or recycled fiber tissue na tinatawag, because a lot of people have a misconception about a recycled tissue. And this is the photo documentation during the awarding ceremony of Green Choice Seal of Approval, personally attended by our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Steven Yung, together with our Chief Administrative Officer, Madam Agatha Liu. And of course, we were able to get the license to use the Green Choice Seal of Approval. I think a while ago, Ms. Jewel of PCEPSDI was able to present what is Green Choice Philippines is all about. And of course, we were able to grant the license to use the Green Choice Seal in all our packaging materials. Okay, moving forward, I'd like to present our Quanta paper products that mark with Green Choice seal of approval. So for our institutional partners, we are supplying them with the eco hygiene brands, so such as for hotel, restaurants, resorts, and for our retail partners or for mga consumer are available present are marked with Green Joy seal of approval are Fresh and Harmony. I would understand tayo pag nag-grocery tayo, di ba? Pagdating natin sa tissue section, ang dami-daming brands ng tissue. At kanina sabi nga ni Jewel, it always pays to check the label. Di ba? Pagkakita natin, dapat lang hanapin natin kung meron bang seal of approval yung mga product na binibili natin, especially for tissue. So next time, I hope everyone, especially for all the attendees, pag bibili tayo ng tissue, dapat hanapin natin kung sinong mga products or brand na merong seal of approval. And fortunately, si Fresh and Harmony lang yung makikita niyong merong seal of approval ni Green Choice Philippines. Ayan, sabi kanina, I think si Ms. Ayla presented kanina, parang I actually natutuwa ako whenever she kept mentioning about mindset because technically it's really start with the mindset. Sabi niya kanina, what type of business owner are you? What type of consumer are you? So ito, I would like to quote lang yung statement ni Secretary Ramon Lopez of TTI. We become better consumers in 3 ways. First, buying better by buying greener products. Second, consuming better by wasting less and having a more sustainable consumption. And lastly, disposing better by taking into account recycling in particular. So meaning, by just simply buying fresh tissue, Harmony, paper towel, you've already done your part in taking good care of our environment. Ayan. So ito elaborate ko lang kasi maraming misconception about dun sa recycled tissue. Baka kasi ang iniisip nila, actually majority talaga ang iniisip nila, pag naririnig nila yung recycled tissue, baka ang thinking, yung ginamit ng tissue, let's say for example, I'm sorry for the word, yung pinagsingahan or pinapunas na is nire-recycle pa. Technically, it's not. Kumbaga, kaya tinawag siyang recycled paper, meaning yung material or yung fiber na ginamit is nanggaling sa mga office waste paper, katulad ng mga notebook na pinagsulatan natin sa school, yung mga office waste paper natin ng mga coupon bond, mga typewriting. So yun yung ginamit na main material to produce or bigyan ng second life ulit at maging jumbo roll tissue ulit siya. So the big question is recycled paper hygienic? Yes, it's a big yes. And I'd like to reiterate lang yung process dito. Baka sabihin, paano kaya yun? Baka mamaya madumi pa din. So I'd like to reiterate lang na the process of producing recycled paper had undergone 500 degrees Celsius. Thus, our tissue has 0 bacteria and it also a chlorine-free and ammonia-free. So yun lang nga, reiterate ko lang, I always want to take this opportunity every time merong mga ganitong seminar na i-clear yung misconception about dun sa recycled paper or yung recycled tissue. Again, hindi ibig sabihin pag recycled tissue is yung pinagamitang tissue tapos i-recycle pa. Hindi po. So yun po, kaya lang po tinawag siyang recycled fiber or recycled paper, meaning ginamit, ang main material lang po talaga na ginamit is yung mga office waste paper. Next. And I'd like to share lang some recycling facts. So you just imagine for every ton of tissue paper made with recycled paper, we save 20 trees, 7,000 gallons of water, 587 pounds of air pollution, 463 gallons of oil. So imagine niyo, Quanta started 2003. So ganun kadami na yung na-recycled na waste paper na dapat mapunta lang siya sa mga landfill o yung mga dam site. But with the recycling process na ginagawa ng aming company, we're able to save these trees, water, pollution, and oil. And ganun na din yung kanabi natin na hindi na pinutol na puno para maging tissue. Ayun. Okay, I'd like to present lang one of our programs for our institutional partners such as hotel, resort, restaurant, including we have existing partners of government agencies. So we call it Palit Papel Project. So this is very simple. The whole process is very simple. So yung mga institutional partners, they just collect lang or iniipon lang nila yung mga office space paper. Then we have existing in-house and buying partners na nagko-collect ng mga office waste paper nila. Then it will proceed directly to our own billing station. Then in the billing station, it will deliver to our manufacturing complex in Pampanga to do the repulping. So doon na mangyayari yung recycling process. Then ultimately, finally, magiging yung mga office waste paper na kinelekta namin sa mga hotel or sa mga resorts or sa mga existing partners namin, mga grocery or mga government agencies, eventually, mako-convert siya into a hard roll or jumbo tissue roll na mako-converted ulit sa mga malilit na tissue. So meaning, instead na itapon, instead na maging basura, matapon lang sa mga dam site, technically, binibigyan pa natin siya ng second life. And at the same time, sorry, may phone-in questions. Sir James, I'll answer your question right after my presentation. So at the same time, aside dun sa ultimate objective natin na ma-convert ulit siya to additional, na maging new jumbo roll tissue, nabibigyan pa natin ng maraming trabaho yung mga in-house and buying partners namin. Di ba? Imagine mo, hindi lang tayo nakatulong sa environment, but at the same time, we provide jobs dun sa mga middle, in between nung process. Okay, ano naman kapalit nung let's say for example, there's a certain hotel, kinokolekta namin yung mga waste paper nila. So ano namang mapapala ng mga existing partners namin? So ganito lang, it's a very simple lang yung process. I-segregate lang yung waste paper, then we will just schedule the collection or yung pick up of the paper waste. Then it will proceed directly dun sa aming billing station na dun naman siya titimbangin para makalculate natin how many kilos yung na-collected na paper waste. So si partner, let's say for example, si hotel or si restaurant, meron siyang prerogative or discretion kung anong gusto niyang maging kapalit ng waste paper. It's either pwede siyang i-convert to cash or pwede ring i-convert siya to tissue again. So meaning, hindi na siya para bumili ng mga supply ng tissue since napalitan na yung mga waste paper niya na maging tissue. But syempre, definitely yung requirement, hindi naman kakayanin ng mga palit lang ng waste paper. So may bumibili pa rin sa amin yung mga existing part. But still, kumbaga, nakabawas siya dun sa cost nila. Instead na madagdag pa sa expenses nila, bumili ng sobrang daming tissue, but nababawasan na kasi nga yung mga waste paper na-convert na dun sa tissue. Ayan, then. So once na makalculate namin kung gaano kadami yung nakolekta namin, then sabay na namin sa delivery yung converted goods nung nakolekta naming waste paper. So as in wala talagang tapon. Ayan, so I just want to share lang this. Ito yung itsura ng mga office waste paper na nakolekta. So yun yung mga trimmings ng mga coupon band, mga notebook. Yan, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na billing station. So yan yung dumadaan. Ito yung initial phase ng process. So yun, so after the repulping, yung kaninang minention ko na 500 degrees Celsius, as in sobrang daming stage na pinagdaanan nito. Actually, when I entered the company, nung first time ko nag-plant tour, sobrang na-amaze ako kung paano nare-recycle yung mga waste paper na nako-convert pa siya to another jumbo roll. So you just imagine, from waste paper to 100% recycled fiber tissue. Instead na basura na siya, sabi nga ng mga previous speaker kanina, kumbaga, we have to change that mindset na yung waste na it can be recycled, it can be reused. Ayan, so I just like to reiterate lang, imagine niyo mula na nag-start yung company, Quanta Paper Corporation noong 2006, ganong kadami na yung nasave na puno, water, air pollution, and gallons of oil by just simply doing the recycled paper and converting it to another jumbo tissue roll at ma-convert ulit siya to several formats of tissue. And at the same time, our company is a one-stop shop for your tissue hygienic and cleaning requirements because we can provide you with multiple options from our wide portfolio of products and services. Gusto ko lang din i-reiterate dito. Ay, sorry. But nag-i-skip siya. Ayan. So, a lot of hotels kasi, I think majority of the attendees are taking HRM. So, di ba, if you will notice in the hotel, yung mga tissue naman dun sa CR, hindi naman normally nauubos ng isang guest, di ba? That's why, since we are a manufacturing company, we can customize yung requirement ng mga trade partners namin or yung mga institutional partners namin, regardless kung anong gusto nilang pools, normally based dun sa study nila. Let's say, for example, yung isang roll ng tissue, ganitong sheets lang yung nauubos ng isang guest. So meaning kasi, let's say, for example, if they just buy yung normal specifications ng tissue, ang dami na namang nasasayang. 'Di ba? Ang daming natatapon kasi syempre yung nilagay nilang isang tissue dun sa isang room, let's say for example, meron na ng bagong guest, technically papalitan na siya ng bagong tissue. Yung natirang tissue, technically tatapon na naman. So kami, since we are a manufacturing company, one of the biggest tissue manufacturing company, kaya namin i-customize lahat ng specifications ng kahit anong requirement ng tissue format ng aming mga institutional partners or trade partners, regardless kung anong size, ganong yung pools, yung counts, yung sheets, number of apply based on the requirement of our partners. So, and lahat ng klaseng tissue, jumbo roll, hand roll tissue, bathroom tissue, facial tissue, whatever type of tissue, we can tailor fit according to your requirement. So yun, so to end my slide lang, since I have a very limited time allocation. So we believe that by sustaining the environment, our community, and our people, we will be well equipped to attain our biggest aspiration, a sustainable future for the next generation. Our quest to become a market leader is not without challenges, but we are steadfast in our commitment to constantly produce high quality, affordable, hygienic, and environmentally products with concern, care, and love people can rely on every day. So to the company that sees piles of waste paper as an opportunity, to a proud manufacturer of brands that promote sustainability, a maker of products that demonstrate the true passion and heart of every Filipino, that's our company, that's Quanta Paper Corporation. So thank you so much guys for listening. I hope you learned something from me, and I hope you choose fresh bathroom tissue after this seminar and be one with nature. Thank you so much again, and have a nice day.
Thank you so much, Sir Aljon, for that presentation and for sharing Quanta Paper Corporation's programs and its lineup of eco-labeled essential products, especially now during COVID-19, where a lot of us are tirelessly spending a considerable amount of time disinfecting and cleaning nowadays. So it's good to know that whenever we buy from Quanta, we save a lot of resources by buying from a company with strict compliance to environmental regulations and of course to your advocacy. So thank you again, Sir Aljon, for that presentation. So once again, thank you to our three speakers in our second panel for sharing your organization's initiatives and programs. I'd like to welcome again Ms. Nikki, Ms. Rina, and Sir Aljon back to the virtual floor for our second open forum. And again, to our participants, if possible, kindly indicate the speaker that you wish to address the question to. Unfortunately, we can only limit the open forum to one question per speaker in the interest of time. So let's start with Ms. Nikki. For Ms. Nikki, do you have a compostable packaging that can serve as alternatives to sachets for food products and liquids like condiments and shampoos?
As of now, the cassava bio bags are actually used for secondary packaging, but once the machine is up, hopefully, we can check if we can already serve the primary packaging group as well. So yeah, as of now, there's none, but definitely the cassava bag film, it can be used to wrap shampoo bars or soaps. So it can be customized as well, depending on your requirements. So you can place your logos, and then if you have like shampoo bars or anything solid that's a bit dry, it can be used for that. Thank you.
Okay, got this. Thank you, Miss Nikki, for that. For Miss Rina, how many kilograms does your one bucket how many kilograms can it hold? And also, is your Bokashi brand can it be used as seed raising media? Thank you.
Okay. Hi. In terms of capacity, we have a standard bucket. It's a 20-liter bucket. And on the average, it's about 10 kilograms, 10 to 12 kilograms. But from all the existing subscribers, habang gumagaling sila mag-layer ng food waste bucket nila, we're receiving buckets that can go 12, 15 kilograms of food waste in one go. So around that much. So in every exchange, we get about 12 to 15 kilograms of food waste. And in terms of using it as a seed raising media, I've never tried, but right now I've not done anything on the side of actually planting. So I pass it on to partners who take care of the planting. So we really focus on collecting all the food waste and teaching them how to properly do it with the bokashi method.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rina. I can also attest din na malaki talaga yung capacity ng bokashi composting ng bucket nila. I think for one of their larger buckets, if I'm not mistaken, it lasts our family for around 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. So it's really cool.
Yeah, and right. So for a family of a household of 4, that standard bucket gets filled in about 2 weeks. So because we've encountered some households na they say na we only have a few or very little food waste, we have the smaller bucket, which is the mini bucket, 16 liters size. So that's about 8 kilograms of food waste. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you, Ms. Rina. Lastly, for Sir Aljon, around 3 mini questions. Do you also collect papers from junk shops? And do you collect paper waste nationwide? And someone also asked, what about wet wipes? Can they be recycled also?
Wet wipes hindi, we don't collect wet wipes. Pero we have, diba, yung mga billing partners namin, so they collect from junk shop din.
Okay po. For the papers from junk shops, do you collect them po? Papers from junk shops?
Not directly from Quanta, but with our existing buying partners.
Okay po. All right. Okay, so that's actually all of the questions that the audience has posted. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up the open forum very quickly. Apologies for this. But if you guys have any other questions for our speakers, please feel free to email us or send it to us for their answers via email. So to wrap up our open forum, thank you again for that very engaging discussion. I hope that this webinar has really opened up more possibilities for integrating circular economy principles into our daily business operations, because we as people living on one planet really cannot afford to go back to our business as usual practices. So we have to start somewhere, no matter how small an initiative. So we'd like to present a small token of appreciation to our resource speakers, starting with Secretary Puyat. We present the certificate of appreciation to Sec Puyat from the Department of Tourism for providing the opening remarks and contributing to the success of this training webinar, Practicing Circular Economy in the Hospitality Sector During COVID-19, to accelerate more resource-efficient low-carbon development projects, given this 29th of June. So we'd also like to thank Ms. Raquel Reyes from the DENR EMB for giving the lecture on the effects of COVID-19 waste management streams in the country. So thank you for that, Ms. Raquel. Thank you to Attorney Dilbert Ketulio from the House Committee on Ecology for providing the salient provisions of the Single-Use Plastic Product Regulation Act and how this supports a circular economy. Thank you to Ms. Ayla Lair M. Gutierrez from the Asian Institute of Management, Dr. Andrew L. Tan Center for Tourism, for discussing the basics of circular economy and how this can be applied in the tourism sector. Next, thank you to Ms. Joel Hannah Nerveza from the Philippine Center for Environmental Protection and Sustainable Development, Inc., for discussing the National Eco-Labeling Program, Green Choice Philippines, a market-based tool for circular economy. And thank you as well to Ms. Nikki Sevilla from EcoNest Philippines for sharing with us your advocacies on eco-friendly solutions and alternatives for local industries. Thank you to Ms. Rina Papio from Green Space Filipinas for sharing with us Soilmate and how we can tackle the food waste problem. And last but not the least, thank you to Mr. Aljon Gemperoa from Quanta Paper Corporation for sharing with us your company's programs and initiatives for the environment. So thank you again to all of our speakers who are present today. So before the final part of our program, it's time to draw 5 names for our 5 raffle prizes. As promised, so 2 winners will win an online gift voucher with 4 plantable pencils from EcoNest. 2 winners will win a product package from Quanta, and 1 winner will get a mini compost kit from Green Space. So if your name is John, kindly confirm your prize by giving us a message through the Zoom chat box or the Facebook comment section. So both of which are being monitored by our team, or simply type present if your name is John. So if you are no longer present and we don't hear from you, we will draw another name. So for our first 2 lucky winners receiving EcoNest 500 peso gift voucher and 4 plantable pens. So our first lucky winner is Perdido Janice Liban. Are you present? From our team, is there any word if she's online on Facebook? Okay, there. So congratulations, Ms. Liban. For our next, our team will be emailing you after this webinar for the details. For our next lucky winner for the Ms. Susa May Semblante. Is she here? Ms. Semblante? Ayun, okay. So congratulations po for winning EcoNest gift voucher and plantable pens. So let's quickly move on to our Quanta Paper Corporation gift package. Our lucky winners receiving Quanta Paper Corporation gift package. Miss Jackie Lou Relieve, if tama po yung pronunciation. I think I saw her here a while ago. Miss Jackie Lou, are you here po? If none, maybe we can, yeah, hello, Zeke.
Yes, hello, Andy.
Mm.
Miss Jacqueline is here on Zoom, but she's not responsive.
Okay po. Okay, the mechanics kasi or that you type present, or that you inform the team or the organizers. So I'm afraid that if she doesn't respond, then we will have to move on to the next winner. Okay, Miss Donna Rose Batausa, are you here in Zoom or on Facebook? Miss Donna Rose Batausa. Miss Donna Rose Batausa.
Andy, I received a direct message from Miss Donna Rose Batausa.
Okay, so she's here. Okay, congratulations po, Miss Donna Rose. So that's the two quanta packages. No, we have the next one, green space compost, mini compost kit, if I'm not mistaken. Keeks, can you confirm?
I think there's one more for Quanta since Miss Jackie Lu did not
Ay, sorry.
respond.
Okay, okay. All right, sige. So one more for quanta. Buti lang no one's leaving yet. Ivony Asprilia, sir or ma'am, Ivony Asprilia, are you here? Sir or ma'am, Ivony? Ayun, present. Okay, congratulations po for winning a Quanta Paper Corporation gift package. And then finally, for our green space, Mr. Maximilian Restauro. Mr. Maximilian, are you here? Mr. Maximilian Restauro? Okay, so since we didn't hear from him, we move on to the next winner. Yeah. Next name, John. So this is for the green space compost kit. Sorry. Mr. Maximilian, I think, is in the live according to Ms. Susa May. Can anyone from the team confirm?
Yes, Andy. Yeah, he's
Okay.
in our F. Thank you.
Okay.
very much.
Apologies, Miss Elena. Your slot has been sayang po. It's Mr. Maximilian po pala who's the lucky winner of the Green Space Mini Compost Kit. So thank you everyone and congratulations for the lucky winners. So our team will be emailing you after the webinar to get your delivery details. So to conclude this training webinar, we have our esteemed President and Executive Director, Mr. June Alvarez, to give the closing remarks. So Sir June, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Good afternoon, everyone, at isang makakalikasang pagbati sa inyong lahat. Before I proceed with my final words, allow me to, and in behalf of the Philippine Center for Environmental Protection and Sustainable Development Board, allow me to express our gratitude to our distinguished speakers and participants and our speakers who shared their knowledge and experiences about the subject on circular economy and tourism. So headed by no less than our very own Secretary, Honorable Secretary Bernadette Puyat, of course, our Suki, our friends from EMB, Ms. Raquel Reyes of Solid Waste Management Division, and Ms. Ayla Gutierrez of Asian Institute of Management, and my colleague, Jewel Nerbesa, for sharing the Green Choice Philippines. And with our panel session 2, we are blessed to have Ms. Nikki Sevilla of Econest Philippines, Rina Papio of Green Space, and of course, Aljon Gempora of Quanta Paper. Thank you very much for the support of this training webinar on circular economy. So we talk about the application of circular economy in a pandemic situation in the hospitality industry. And I do understand that we have lots of students coming from Cebu who are here and attending the seminar. So you are very blessed because we have this
speakers we share their knowledge and experiences on the subject. So I hope you could uh, embrace the different topics and practices that they have shared with you as you go to your respective in the future as you go in your respective works. So if you looking back the circular economy in the tourism sector, the idea is applying it in a sense that we have this pandemic or new normal, and with that we know for the fact that the pressing issue is in the tourism industry is the problem on solid waste. And two things that have been discussed in this seminar, the face mask, and we would like to appeal to you that the rampant use of disposable face masks by ordinary or general public should be avoided, and we would like to encourage you to use the reusable face mask. And if you are using disposable face mask, you should dispose this properly. So, and for the solid waste as presented by our speakers, primarily our speaker from House Committee on Ecology, Attorney Gilbert Quitelio. He mentioned that we are ranked as number 3 among the most polluter of plastics in the world, and that's quite sad, and we had to do something about it. And looking at the strategy of how we will push through the circular economy in our not only in the hospitality sector but as a whole in general in our country, is through policy approach. That could be one, and technology and innovation as presented by different practices and case studies. We have the EcoNest on biodegradable plastics. We have the Green Space for food waste biodegradable. And then we have the Quanta paper for being an eco-friendly product. And here comes the Green Choice Philippines as a tool for you to embrace green practices that would lead towards a circular economy. So with that, I hope this training seminar would actually give more engagement to you and expand the practices and the wisdom on the ground to push for a circular economy. So muli ay maraming salamat sa inyong lahat at isang makakalikasang pagbati.
Thank you very much, Sir June, for that heartwarming closing remarks and call to action. We truly hope that you have all learned a lot from this training webinar, as mentioned by Sir June, and so that our tourism industry can bounce back sustainably and more responsibly. So for our final segment, let's have a photo op, everyone. Please open your cameras and show us your bright smiles. Luis, kindly direct the photo taking.
Yeah, so everyone kindly turn on your cameras so we can get a few photos. Okay, so we have 4 pages right now. So just keep on smiling. All right, page 2. Page 3. And last more, page 4. All right, everyone, the photo op is good. And Andy?
Thank you very much, Luis. Thank you, everyone. And on behalf of PCEPSDI and the TVC project team, we thank you all for your participation in this webinar. Thank you as well to our speakers for being with us here today. Please stay safe and have a good rest of the week, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Sir June. The rest of
Thank
Green
you.
Choice Philippines team. Bye.
Thank you, Sir Aljon.
Thank
Take
you,
care,
Andrea,
everyone.
Andy. Bye, Joel.
Take care po.
Yes.
Thank you so much.